Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grump.
Yeah.
Today, we're going live after the NHL trade deadline. We're going live Saturday evening before the Islanders face off against the vaulted and vaunted San Jose Sharks. If you're new to this, podcast here and live stream, there's a few pieces of general housekeeping I want to make sure we cover before we start getting into the meat and potatoes of the episode. If you're new to the show and you like the content that we produce, the best way to support us is really a few ways, right? You could make sure you subscribe on YouTube. So anytime we go live, you get immediate updates as to what's going on, our schedule, when we're going live, because we have the show once a week, every single Saturday. It's around about between 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're subscribed on YouTube and you got a little bing notification bell on, you'll get notified when we go live. Also, the other way to support the podcast is by liking the video. If you hit the thumbs up button on wherever you're watching this, it helps the algorithm. It gets the podcast out to the masses. And also, right, it lets myself and Grumpy know that you like the content that we produce. One more item that I want to talk about in housekeeping. We do have a all sports podcast. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. That is every single Sunday at 8 p.m. 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, you can find that linked in the description below or as a featured page here on a YouTube channel. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It's an all sports show where we talk literally anything and everything sports. So that's world football, that's NHL, that's college athletics, that's NBA, that's MLB, that's NFL, that's anything and everything sports on that show. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. It takes place on Sundays between 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All righty, let's get into things here. Grump, initial reaction. What did you think about the trade deadline?
We're not doing grades yet, just initial thought.
Initial thoughts, because we're going to jump into a little bit. We're going to give a reasoning. We're going to articulate our thoughts. We'll kind of explain.
Insufficient.
That's correct. I like that. Insufficient.
Pathetic. Stupid. Useless. Fireable. Termination. Death. Franchise dead. Dead and buried. And the thing is, the biggest thing for me, we don't have a direction that we're going. There's no direction for this team. None. If the direction is just to status quo, that's not a direction. It's like your car's in neutral. Maybe you're rolling down the hill in your driveway. Maybe you're just sitting there. Or maybe if your car's been sitting in the driveway for 9 months, you start up, like the tires are depressed. You can't get nothing rolling. It's just neutral. Just poor. Poor.
I like the analogy I think he used a few podcasts ago. It's like we're doggy paddling in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah,
That's where we
nowhere.
are.
Going nowhere.
I'd ask, for those who are happy with the trade deadline, ask yourself, what is
Who
the direction?
could possibly be happy with the trade deadline?
We'll have some examples. We'll have because we've got some contrarian points of view that are happy.
So the morons are out. So the moron squad's out. Okay.
They always are.
Losers.
It didn't matter. There's always a section of the fan base where it didn't matter if Lou sold everybody. They'd tell you that was the greatest thing for reason X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
if he
they're losers.
signed and added to the team, they're going to say this is a great reason for A, B, and C.
Those fans, I guarantee you, are between the ages 30 and 40, and they've just been conditioned to be losers. This franchise is a loser. It's a loser franchise. It's the New York Jets with ice. That's what the Islanders have become. New York Jets on ice. Remember Disney on ice? New York Jets on ice. It's what it is. Pathetic. Pathetic. And you listen to the players, losers. Every single one of them is a freaking loser. Oh, I want to Kyle Palmer. They all say the same thing. You know what none of them ever say? I want to win a Stanley Cup. None of them. I love it here. I want to stay here. I want to play my whole career here. Why? No accountability. Don't have nothing. Just,
expectations are mediocre.
It's like Elon Musk needs to come in and wipe out this whole franchise. Because you know what? Who's not producing? That's everybody. Cut them all.
Okay. Well,
where's Elon when you need him?
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump in though. So
tell me what you did last week, Anders Lee. Nothing. No assists. No goals, no body checks, just sitting at the end of the bench. Kyle Palmieri, what have you done?
He did get a goal last week.
I don't care what he did. He blows. F minus. He's the F minus that keeps on freaking giving. He was an F minus when they traded for him. He's an F minus at this deadline. This guy is a bane of my existence. What was the pretty obvious what the plan was going into this trade deadline, isn't it? Talk about the ultimate seller's market. The ultimate seller's market. We're going to pull up other trades and see what some ham and eggers got from other teams.
Yeah. It was the ultimate seller's market. We were talking about this last week because trades. Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
Okay. What was the plan going into this trade deadline? Re-sign everybody. That's what it was. Re-sign everybody. Keep it all the same. That was the plan. How do I know? That piece of shit Nelson was offered a 3-year deal. He wanted 5. And he'll get 5 on the open market. The plan was to re-sign him, to re-sign that useless F- Palmieri. That was the plan. Don't move anyone. Oh, well, we moved Dennis Cholowski for some freaking ham and egger that we're never going to hear his name again. Who cares about Dennis Cholowski? You had the number 1 center on the market and one of the top 2 or 3 wingers on the market. And you only moved one guy? And the only reason you moved him is because he said no to your contract extension? He was crying at the end of the last game. I'm glad he's gone. He's the biggest pussy on the planet, that Croc Nelson. He's always been a pussy. I told you he was a pussy from day freaking one. I told you he was. I told you he was when we started the show. That guy's nothing but a freaking pussy. And what happened? Oh, no. I'm not going to be with my friends in the cul-de-sac. This team's a bunch of freaking losers. The whole team's a freaking loser organization. That's as nice as I can put it. Losers from the ownership down. It starts with the ownership. And here's the thing. What did we read from Stefan Rosner this week? He says, anyone who thinks ownership has anything to do with this team, with what goes on, knows absolutely nothing about it. That's what Stefan Rosner said. Lou Lamoriello, it's his team. He runs it. This guy's like a freaking billionaire, this Malkin, isn't he? I'm going to guarantee you his other business, he's not handing over to some 90-year-old ham and egger and just say, yeah, do whatever you want. Is that the way he runs his other business? Because he'd be a broke-ass bastard if that's what it would be.
We're going to talk about Malkin. Don't worry. We're going to talk about Malkin. I don't want to interrupt you, Grumpy. You're on a roll, Grump. You're on a roll. This is prime vintage Grumpy.
It's sickening. I'm done with this team. I'm done with them. Me staying up late to watch it, that's over. Like San Jose show, I just hope they lose every game the rest of the way. And I hope Palmieri does not sign back. That's what I hope.
Oh, man. Yeah. Again, now I do feel kind of somewhat obligated to pop up a few of these items. Now, you've never liked Brock Nelson. I've always liked Brock.
That's right, because he's useless. He's soft. He's fucking soft.
He is soft. Now, here's the one good thing, though. I'll put this up.
He gave up the winning goal, Canada against USA, because I don't want to guard anybody. He does the same thing when he went the Islanders. He blows. I'm glad he's gone. That's the one good thing he's gone. But the guy who I hate the most is that Palmieri. We gave up assets to bring in that piece of shit. How many years ago we give him a
first and a fourth for him and Travis Zajac?
Travis Zajac, you're right. Pat Zajac, whoever, the guy who Vanna White flips the numbers. He just says, "Hey, you got $900. Vanna, show us the letter." No, we didn't need Pat Zajac. A first and a fourth. Overpaying as usual at the deadline, right? Overpaying. That's what Lou Lamoriello does. Overpay for everything.
Now, I'll say this, right? Because Andrew Gross, because the plan was to absolutely sign back every single unrestricted free agent heading into this year. So that's Kyle Palmieri, which I guarantee you, or we haven't signed it back yet, but there obviously is some sort of strong belief that we're going to sign him back. And they were trying up until Wednesday, from what I understand, even Thursday morning, trying to work a deal out with Brock Nelson. Now and again, Andrew Gross just asked Lou Lamoriello today whether it was the years or the AAV that Brock didn't accept.
Did that stupid bastard come out of his freaking hole in the ground?
Lou declined to get into the specifics.
Yeah, because he doesn't remember the stuff. He's fucking 100 years old.
He felt that Nelson always wanted to stay.
Who cares? Of course he wanted to stay.
Here's the thing. For those who are not familiar, the Islanders offered him a 3-year contract. He said no. He wanted 5. They couldn't even meet in the middle on 4, and that's why he walked. Or that's why he
said, you giving a 4-year contract, 3-year contract extension? Guy's 33 years old on a team that sucks. Why? Yes. This team is loaded with shitty contracts and shitty players. That's the whole organization. Nobody in the minors, nobody on the big team, nothing. The front office is just bereft of intelligence.
I will say this.
What's Malkin doing? What's he doing?
He's at the game. He's traveling. He must be looking for a few sunshine rains out there in San Jose. But, I want to talk a little bit about it because we're going to talk about ownership.
We're going to sell the land.
Well, yeah. Again, we're going to get it. Let's not jump too far, Grump. But I think, right, the deal they did make, right, I was happy with the return that we got for Brock Nelson. I was. Callum Ritchie's a guy who is one of the top prospects there in the NHL, top 30 prospect, pretty much anywhere you look. Again, anybody who's pretending to be, an expert on Callum Ritchie, you could just go ahead and immediately ignore what they're saying because the likelihood that they're paying attention to Colorado Avalanche prospects all the way up until he was traded, I don't know, a few days ago, probably very unlikely. But from what I've read, right, the guy is top 30 pretty much across the board. So I'm pretty happy with that in a first-round pick in either 2026 or 2027. I'm happy with the return. But I think the way you described the trade deadline is very accurate. Incomplete. And, it's like you get a group assignment where you have, hey, we got 5 sections of this assignment that we need to have done. It's like Lou did a good job on one of the portions of the assignment, but completely failed to do the other 4. It was an incomplete assignment, an incomplete trade deadline.
Okay.
As nice
I
as we
I need to pull up a comment from Stephen V. It's saying, I'm wrong about Palmieri. Pull it up. There you go. You're wrong about he's given us 30 goals every year, not his fault that Lou brought him in. He's had 30 goals twice in his whole freaking career. Last year was his first year with the Islanders where he had 30 goals. So, no, he has not had 30 goals every year with the Islanders. He's been here 5 freaking years, and 1 year he slithered in at the end to make 30. That's it. And he also had 30 with the Devils when he was 24 years old. That's the only thing he's ever had. His career average is 25, playing for shitty teams like this Islander one, I might say. Who gives a crap if you score 30? Mariusz Czajkowski had a shitload of goals too when his team was in the basement. He blows. I'm sorry. He's 30. He's 34 years old.
Yeah.
Why would you resign a guy who's 34 years old to this team?
Yeah, and that's the issue, right? Because I thought it was an absolute seller's market, right? When you look at what some of these players are getting in return for guys who were, I'd say, much less than Kyle Palmieri, it's just crazy. And again, how many defensemen, by the way, do we have on this
11,
team?
15, who knows?
10, 11?
None of them worth the damn, though, honestly, except for Noah Dobson. A little rest below. You can move any single one of them. Yeah. Brandon Carlo, look at the return for Brandon freaking Carlo. Boston, you know what Boston said? You know what? Yeah, we're ahead of the useless freaking Islanders. We're ahead of them in the standings, but you know what? We're not good enough. So What do? Marchand wanted to stay. You know what they said? We're shipping you off to Florida, potentially for a first-round draft pick. Brian and
That's-
Carlo, bye-bye.
Well, that's the thing. I love that because everybody's like, oh, well, you see a lot of it online. The reason that Lou didn't trade away Palmieri was
It's because he's not capable of making a deal.
You're going to let me finish, please? Thank
No.
you. The reason why people are trying to espouse online is, oh, the reason is because Lou wasn't offered enough for Kyle Palmieri. They're only offering like a second-round pick. If Marshawn only got a second-round pick, he's only going to get a second. Now, again, the thing with
You got a
Marshawn is
first-round pick.
the thing with Marshawn, it's a second conditional first as long as he plays half of the playoff games.
Yeah.
So pretty much as long as Marshawn doesn't blow a tire and he plays in the playoffs, they will get a first-round pick from the Florida Panthers. That's what that is. A first-round pick essentially for Brad Marshawn is how that's going to go down. Kyle Palmieri was getting offered, per The Athletic, a second plus prospects was the going price on him. And multiple teams were calling on Kyle Palmieri, inquiring about him on the trade deadline day. A second round pick plus.
But what did Lou do at the first thing in the morning while he's off the market because we want to work out an extension with him? That's the way you use a leverage, Lou. Stupid old piece of shit. He sickens me. He's so bad. He's so bad. I don't know what. Here's the thing. It's ownership has to be telling him what to do. He was forced to make the Nelson move. Forced to.
You think he was
and
forced?
I did like that. That's why I give them a D for dumbass for the trade deadline grade. D for dumbass.
I probably give that. Oh man, tough to say. It's when we look at the trade that he made was a good trade, but he lacked to address so many issues that were, no brainers at this point. No brainers. It wasn't like you could say and argue that, oh no, the prices just weren't right on these guys. The prices were right on every single person that was sold at the deadline. Anthony Beauvillier, think about this, 20 points right now, 20-point Anthony Beauvillier got a second-round pick on an expiring deal, traded away from the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Washington Capitals for a second-round pick. Anthony Beauvillier.
Fourth liner. He's a fourth liner now.
Fourth liner in Pittsburgh. Are you telling me that Anthony Beauvillier had more value than Kyle Palmieri, both on expiring deals?
Brandon Tanev, fourth liner, goes for a second-round pick. Don't tell me Kyle Palmieri couldn't get you anything. You're lying. But here's the thing. Why would you not take a second-round pick and prospects where we have none in the organization? Maybe the Yzerman kid. And maybe the Nelson kid. And that's it.
Now the Callum Ritchie kid. So now maybe we have three prospects that have the chance to maybe make it. Go ahead.
How many prospects? Does every prospect pan out?
No, they don't.
For the Islanders, none of their prospects pan out. So what do you think that chance is?
This is the confusing and baffling part. Again, reported by The Athletic. Kyle Palmieri was born on Long Island and grew up in New Jersey. So his incentive to stay was strong. The trade offers were in the range of a second-round pick and another asset, according to a league source.
Okay.
And then he shut down. He shut down the mill of talking with teams. He said, no, we're not going to talk with any more. Like, what happens as things get closer and teams get more desperate? Sometimes they start to overpay a little bit more. But we just said, nope. You know what it reminds me of is like when Varlamov. Did you listen to any opportunities and offers on Varley? No. Why is that?
What?
Gives him that look like he's going to murder.
Where's that coming from?
Where's that coming from? That's exactly what he said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why would we take offers on a freaking backup goaltender who's 35 years old?
He'll never play hockey again.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Can you put that back up again?
Yeah, I can.
Because I just want to read what they said. Okay. He was born on Long Island and grew up in New Jersey, so his incentive to stay was strong. I don't care what he wants. I care about the future of the franchise. I don't care that he was born on Long Island. I don't care that he played in New Jersey. Ship him to freaking Siberia just to get more assets. This team is in the gutter right now. And there's no railings on the side. This is not like kiddie bowling where they put the little rails up. Lou just throwing gutter ball after gutter ball. How do you not move him? Inexcusable. And like I said, you see what guys who I consider were nowhere near as talented as some of the guys we had getting way more value than, oh, no, we couldn't have got this. Why would you only take a second pick for Palmieri? Because Palmieri has served his purpose.
What sort of value does it bring to sign back a 34-year-old, potentially sign back, right? It's not even a deal's in place right now. Kyle Palmieri is Ed right now an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. He may sign back. Hell, he may retire. He's 34 years old.
He's not retiring. He's not going to retire. He'll get a 3-year extension. He'll get a 3-year extension to bring him to 37 years old.
You think so?
What do you think? He's going to give him a 1-year deal?
Well, he said 2 to 3. So
yeah, it'll be 3.
A 3. Do we want to take a gamble and a bet if he's going to get a modified? You think he'll get a modified no trade?
Full no move.
Full no move. Well,
I don't want to sign back if I got to lose. I don't care about winning. One thing you learn about these Islander players, they do not care if they win or lose. Not one of them cares about winning a Stanley Cup. Not a one.
He's an old New Jersey Devil too. He's an old New Jersey Devil too.
Yeah, loser, devilitis, right? Didn't I say infected with devilitis? He brought devilitis to the Islanders. Lamoriello, all these losers he brought in from the Devils. They never won anything. Lou knows what he's doing. He hasn't won anything in 25 years. Stop telling me a quarter of a century. He hasn't won a cup in a quarter of a century. Stop telling me how great he is.
When's the last time even he's been to a Stanley Cup? 2 teams make it to a Stanley Cup every single year.
He's probably been in the arena rooting for other teams or something.
Think about it. He hasn't even been to a Stanley Cup finals in 20, 25 years?
2011, I think they lost to whatever year that the Devils lost.
That's right. The Devils lost, and they
That's right. That's when he ran the Devils into the ditch.
Get ready. That's what's happening to the Islanders. And here's the problem. The issue I have with this year's trade deadline is there was about 18 hours where I was happy for a bit. And I said, wow, we traded away Brock Nelson. We brought in a draft pick and a young top prospect. That's good. I want to see that continue to happen. We should be taking calls, right? They were calling, per multiple sources, on Anders Lee. They were calling on guys like Kyle Palmieri. They were calling on Jean-Gabriel Pageau. They were calling on many Islanders because everybody in the league knows or thought that, yes, this should be a team that's looking to sell with where they're currently placed. And this is a team that's an older team. Why would they sign back a 34-year-old veteran on a team who's sitting 12th in the Eastern Conference or 13th now?
And it's on the downslide.
That's correct.
This team on downslide.
This team has won 3 playoff games in the last 3 years. And if we don't win a playoff game this year, we've won 3 playoff games in 4 years. Why would they look to bring back 34-year-old Kyle Palmieri? Why would they want to hold on to 35-year-old Anders Lee? Why would they want to hold guys like Jean-Gabriel Pageau if there was an offer for him?
Okay.
There it is, right?
Pageau, I can understand why you want to keep Pageau. You can't get rid of everybody.
Sure.
At the most minimal, you should have moved Nelson, Palmieri, and a defenseman, and not Dennis Cholowski. Not Dennis Cholowski. You move yourself, maybe a Scott Mayfield. Well, who's going to take Scott Mayfield? He's got 5 years left on his term, right? One of the other defensemen. You should have moved one of the other defensemen. You have so many defensemen.
Here's the problem. He's a healthy scratch night in and night out at this point. He's got 5 years left. He's slow, and he doesn't move well in the current NHL system. Teams are not clamoring to pick up a guy who's on the wrong side of 30. He's broke his same foot twice off of slap shots, and now he's moving slower than ever, and he's got 5 years left on his deal. Teams are not clamoring to pick him up. But again, like Pagnotta tweets out there, yes, with Palmieri, they were asking about it. The same thing with J.G. Pageau and even Anders Lee. You had to at least trade one of those guys. How did we go into this deadline where we're not in a playoff spot? We've got multiple teams in front of us to make the playoffs, and we only move one guy. And the reason we move him is because on the day of the deadline, he wouldn't sign an extension. It's the only reason. And they must have been so far apart on the term where Brock's camp was saying, we're looking for 5 years and we're not signing unless we get 5. And Luce dug his heels on the ground and said only 3. But again, a guy like that, we need to be transitioning. We need to be changing the image in the core. I was happy for about 18 hours when I thought that legitimately we may be finally starting to change the trajectory of the Islanders and change course. We're starting to put our sails up and actually pick a direction. But we're a sailless, rudderless boat still out in the middle of the Atlantic because we're looking to sign back Kyle Palmieri when we could have got a second plus for a guy like that. Who knows what they're offering for Anders Lee, who's having the best year of his career this year. Who knows what they're offering for Anders Lee? We're not interested in moving guys like that, though, because we want to be as good as possible, or as average as possible to keep fannies in the seat before they sell the franchise. That's the whole thing.
The grades on that Nelson trade were outstanding.
Yes, I gave him A minus.
Got good value for that.
Yes, A minus to A. It was very good.
Every single review said Lamoriello has finally come to understand what everyone in the NHL has known for a while. This team needs to transition to the next phase. Every single thing, every single review of that trade said the same thing. They all got it wrong. He does not realize that you need to transition away from this group. He absolutely. So what's he going to do? He's going to quadruple down by re-signing a 34-year-old freaking right wing. You think he's getting any better at his age? He's got 20 goals this year.
Oh my God.
He ain't going to have 30, Stephen V. He ain't having 30 again. You can forget that. I'm just the lack of direction of this organization is the thing that bothers me the most. They don't care. They just do not care. There is no care from ownership to management to the players to the freaking stick boy to skate guy to puck boy, puck girl, whoever. The people who paint the nets don't give a shit if they win.
Look at this.
No one cares if they win. Is everyone happy?
Lou Lamoriello on a rebuild versus a retool. The word rebuild, that's something brand new over the last several years. If the definition
so full of shit.
If the definition of
you know what? He lost his fucking mind.
Are you going to let me read the fucking quote? It's 2 sentences. Please, 2 sentences, Grumpy, and I'll let you comment. The word rebuild, that's something brand new over the last several years. If the definition of rebuild is a complete breakdown and to go forward, that's a good 10 years, right?
Okay, fine. How many years have we been in the gutter right now? 4
years.
4.
That's already half the rebuild that we could have been through.
He'll be dead in 10 years. What does he care?
That's about to say. He won't be here in 10 years. He won't be. I hope and pray he's not the general manager 10 years from now. But hey, with the way that our ownership, Malkin and Ledecky run things, I don't know. Again, they just kind of let them do what they want. They're very laissez-faire, hands off. And I'm sure, with the real estate empire and real estate development, they're probably the same way. They probably say, we're not doing anything. We're just going to let our GMs handle everything. We're going to let the project managers handle everything. And as an owner, I'm just going to sit back, kick my feet up, drink some drinks and rest out by the pool all day, just like I do with the Islanders.
I think that Malkin looks at this team as a tax write-off.
Well, no, they're probably making so. I don't think that.
No. Remember, they're doing a whole lot of construction. Oh, this thing we got over here in this rinky-dink arena over here. Yeah, no one shows up, so we don't get any revenue from that. Some of the other businesses in there, we'll collect some money from them. But yeah, no, everything we're building around here, that's our tax write-off is that team.
Oh man,
it's like, as an Islander fan, do you even care anymore?
I don't
care anymore. Hard to care.
It really is, because again, for anybody who's happy and elated after this trade deadline, the question I have for you is articulate, please, to me where I can understand, because I'm genuinely confused and maybe I don't understand. What is the direction of the Islanders? What's the direction of our team? Right? I'm very curious about that. Right? With the Dallas Stars, I could say, well, that's a team who's playing very great hockey. They've had very good finishes in regular season back-to-back years. They're adding to try to win a Stanley Cup. I could see the direction of that team. Same thing with Vegas, right? I could see the directions of certain teams. Tampa Bay. Oh, Tampa Bay went to 3 Stanley Cups in a row. They're a team that started, they brought in, they restructured. They said, see you later, Steven Stamkos. We're getting rid of you. We're not signing you back. We're going to let the old the old gerbil, what is he used to, the old mole rat there, Barry Trotz, sign you to a ridiculous extension because we know you're not worth the armadillo. That's right. That ratty looking guy, Barry Trotz. We love Barry, but we're going to let Barry give you too much money and too much term. We're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and bring in a guy like Jake Gensel. We're going to sign him to an extension. We're going to sign him to a contract. And you know what they did? They added this year's deadline to try to make themselves as fortified as possible, because guess what? They know they have Hall of Famers in Vasilevsky, Hall of Famer in Kucherov, Hall of Famer in Braden Point, Hall of Famer in Victor Hedman. Their time to win is now. So I could tell you the direction of that team. What is the direction of the Islanders? Seriously, what is the direction of the New York Islanders? I'm very curious. Can somebody answer that question for me? I watch them all the time. I watch them year after year. We've had this podcast for 5-6 years. And at certain points, I could tell you with definite, clear thought what the direction of the Islanders are. I have no idea what the direction of the New York Islanders is now. None at all.
The Islanders are like one of those little floaties that falls into a pool. You know, you wear the little floaties on the little kids put the little floaties on their arms to keep them up. They're like a little floaty just laying around in the pool, just aimlessly floating around. Whatever the way the wind blows, that's what they do. Wherever the Islanders get ready to get sucked into the damn, what's the thing on the pool that, sucks all the water up.
It's like a frog. When a frog gets in there, it gets stuck in the filter and dies.
That's it. Sucked it right into the filter. That's the NHL. It's infuriating. And you saw other teams, Boston. 2 years ago, Boston had the best record in regular season record in the history of the NHL, and they tore it down.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They knew they were not good enough.
Bergeron retired. Certain guys retired. They started to say, okay, gotcha. We'll give it a chance. You know what they realized this year? Oh, team isn't as good. We didn't have, we had just Swayman. No Ullmark and Swayman combo. We're starting to notice that even though we're in a playoff spot and we're ahead of the Islanders, we've got some older guys on this team. Marchand, he's 37 years old. We've got some older players. We need to restructure our team. They went through a mass time period of changing the guard. And that's what good teams and franchises do. They're able to identify when there's an issue with the current composition of the roster, they need to make changes. The Washington Capitals 2 years ago.
We talked about
it at the deadline. They understood that they cannot win with the current iteration of the team. They needed to start slowly phasing guys out. Sure enough, they did. What are the Pittsburgh Penguins doing? They're starting to do the same thing. It took them 2 years too late, but guess what? Dubas knows now, we're not going to win with this team currently set up the way it is. We need to start changing the composition of the team. We need to start rebuilding. So they're doing it.
They were trying to move Crosby, but Crosby did not want to go.
Yep, I could tell you the direction of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I could tell you the direction of the Capitals. I could tell you the direction of a lot of teams in the NHL. I could tell you the direction of the Devils, right? The Devils, even though they lost out Hughes for the rest of the season, they've got injured Dougie Hamilton. That's a young team. They've had a lot of draft picks, and guess what they're doing? They're looking to make a push for the playoffs because experience is very important to that team with a young nucleus right now. So they're valuing the playoff experience that's going to allow them to push forward and to grow this team into potentially a contender. I could tell you the direction of the Devils. I'm not even a Devils fan. What is the direction of the New York Islanders?
They have none. It's a rudderless ship. Nothing.
3 playoff wins in 3 seasons.
In Jaws, the Islanders are Orca. The ship, Quint's ship, Orca. That's what the Islanders are. Just stuck out in the Atlantic Ocean, sinking, no engine. He burned it out. Hey, shut up, Hoover. Hey, grinded it out till he blows the freaking engine. There's Lou Lamoriello at the helm. The only good thing, Lamoriello got eaten by the shark at the end. That was the only good thing to come out of it.
Gosh. Oh, man. Well, so...
Spanish ladies. Tears the bearings up. The whole thing. The shark jumps on the ship, eats Lamoriello, drags the whole ship down. Thank God we had no adoption with the rifle to finish off the shark at the end. Gosh. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man. Well, I tried to pull it up. Oh, here we go, Grumpy. Is this when they're racing back to the shore?
Yeah. Yeah, let's see it.
I've got it. It's going to be too long of a clip. It's like 7 minutes. So
not the section I'm talking about.
I know, Grumpy. I'm going to need you to help guide me through on this because, again, I've watched Jaws before, but not too much. Where is this? This is when he goes underneath.
Oh, it's way after this.
Okay.
Way after this. It's
right
not
here.
even the right scene. No, this is not the scene. Here it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there he is. There's Lamoriello at the top.
Listen to it.
Hold on, Martin. Hold on. There he goes, his Lou. Fuck in his head. This Fredo even tell him to stop. Look at he's redlining it. They're burning out the team. That's Sorokin. Sorokin was in the engine room.
Okay, Grumpy, I have to max the volume on this, so you are killing people's ears right now. So please be cognizant.
Right. There he is, Lamoriello at the helm. Where's Sorokin? Do we know? Oh, that's it. Oh, hold on. It sounds like Sorokin screeching. Where is he? Oh, there he is.
He just made 31 of the last 37 games.
He's spitting blood. That's what's happening. Then watch as he goes and everything falls apart. Boom! All right, you're not going to see him eat him. That's way after that.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great if we could see him. That would be the Islanders finally getting rid of him, purging the idea.
That's what it's like. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
Captain Quint at the helm, burning the whole engine out, just destroying the franchise, just like he did with the Devils. Killed him. There, you can't find a Devil fan alive today who thinks he's a good general manager. Well, because here's the thing. Most of the Devil fans who were there when they were winning cups are probably my age. So they're not on the internet. Okay. But the youngsters, the 30-year-olds, all they know is this guy running the franchise into the ground, just killing it. Toronto was smart. They let the old man be in charge for 1 year, like, we've seen this picture before. Get upstairs in that office. No windows for you. We're not even getting a desk. Just sit in your chair for 4 more years. The stupid Islanders will sign you. Sure, they will. What were his big moves? Bringing in Leo Komarov.
Bringing back Matt Martin. Bringing in Matt Martin.
Oh, how much you want to bet?
Signing Anthony Duclair, big offseason signing Anthony Duclair. Oh, man, we've done so many good. Signing Pierre Engvall to a 7-year contract.
7 year. Oh, but the AAV is low. But you're tied to those contracts for 1 billion years. They all add up.
I now want to
Anthony Duclair. First line. How many? Oh, my God, this is our savior. First line winger. He's a number one guy. He's been on 9 teams in 11 years. You don't need to give a guy like that a 4-year contract extension. All of a sudden, he gets a big contract. You know what? He's a freaking no-show.
I like this one. Drew sent this to me. He's like, you killed the man, but not the idea. Now, the reason we've got this posted, you cannot at this point. You've heard me schizo spiral before about how Malcolm Ledecky purchased a team simply for a real estate development project. And I think, again, this year's deadline and next year when Lou Lamoriello still has a job as a general manager will further reinforce that. Because here's the thing. The team has, again, I keep saying this, but I hope it will resonate with people. We've won 3 postseason games, not 3 series, but we've won 3 postseason games in the last 3 years. Do we think the Islanders are making the playoffs? Maybe they do.
Hell no.
Maybe. Probably not. Right? If you have a better record without Brock Nelson, I don't know what that says about Brock Nelson then.
He blows.
Right? But we probably don't make the playoffs this year. Even if we do, how many games do you think we win in the postseason? If we're playing Florida, how many games do you think we win against Florida? Or against Washington? How many games do you think we win against Washington?
0. They play defense and they can score. So that's 0. We're not beating anyone. We're not making the playoffs. You want to know why? I'm going to keep on telling you. Too many teams who are on top of us. You think the Islanders are going to beat any good teams? Winnipeg sleptwalked through that game and dominated from the middle of the second period. Oh, geez. We're down 2 goals. Sorokin is the only. You know what? I'd like to see Sorokin pull a groin injury. Let him get a little bit injured, miss the rest of the year, and see this team spiral into the dirt. That's what I want to see.
I got us taken off of Facebook because I played the Jaws video.
Oh.
I knew I was rolling the dice with it, but it was worth it, I think, for those who enjoyed it on YouTube. Sorry. But I'll say this much. Lou Lamoriello will be here next year, right? We all agree.
He's not going anywhere.
He's going nowhere. I know you were very, very optimistic.
Yep.
Oh, Patrick Waugh. And I told you a million times, just like I told you at the deadline, we weren't going to sell. Because, again, the only reason we sold Brock Nelson was simply because, guess what? He wouldn't sign the extension. If he would have said, yeah, I'm going to sign the extension, we were not selling anyone. We were going to sign back Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri and keep doubling down on the same team, bringing back the same core. I believe in the core of this roster. Well, guess what? The actions speak a lot louder than words. I wish they would have asked him, hey, do you believe in the core of this roster? You know, you're looking to sign back Kyle Palmieri. But again, I didn't hear Andrew Gross or any of the guys out there, any of the beat writers asking that question. But I'm interested. If Preston asked if he believes in the core of this roster, would he be man enough to say yes?
Yeah, he'd say yes. Sure he would.
You think so?
He would. Absolutely. He thought the team was great.
He'd avoid the question is what he would do.
Yeah, of course we do. You know, we're only 3 points out of a playoff spot or 5 points out of a playoff spot. with 20 games to go. Oh, yeah, sure. We're in great shape. And you'll hear the loser Lamanites. They'll go, oh, look, we beat San Jose. Woo! Only 5 points out. Yeah, we're still 5 teams out. But, man, we're right there. The Islanders have one of the toughest schedules down the stretch.
They do.
Okay. Not going to beat Florida. Not going to beat Tampa. You want to know why? Because they're all playing for first place.
I don't think we're beating the Kings either.
No, not beating the Kings.
Yeah, we play them here on this trip.
Yeah. No,
we'll play Anaheim. We'll beat up on the shitty teams like the Sharks and Anaheim.
You realize Anaheim has a better record than we do, right?
What?
Yeah. You realize
Anaheim was looking to sell pieces to this deadline, and they're a younger team than us. They're looking to sell. Anaheim is a better record.
I'm sorry. Anaheim is 27, 28, and 7. Nope. Here's the thing. We're virtually the same team.
Okay. Simple as
their
this.
home game. We usually lose to Anaheim. We're going to lose 2 out of the 3 on the West Coast.
Guess what? The Rangers were selling at this year's deadline. They knew that the core of that team couldn't do it anymore. They knew that they had some issues in the locker room. So what did they do? They were proactive. They started selling. This team just won the President's Trophy last year. And they said, yeah, we don't really have a chance to win the Stanley Cup this year. We're going to load up, so hopefully we can bounce back the next year afterwards instead of continuing to just throw good money after bad, because that's what this is with this Islanders team. We continue to throw good money after bad year in and year out. Not going to get anything done that way.
I was trying to think of what NHL franchise I would want to be less than the Islanders right now.
Oof.
And the only team I could come up with is Chicago.
Really?
That's it.
Really?
I don't think Chicago. I mean, Chicago picked up a goaltender.
They picked up a bona fide number 1 goalie, Spencer Knight, fantastic goalie.
Bedard is he's not. He needs a lot of help. I think they're worse off than we are. At least they know what direction they're going. But Buffalo, they just need a general manager and a coach. And because they certainly have talent. So I pick Buffalo over us. Montreal's past us. Columbus, blown by us.
I'd rather be Columbus 8 days of the week than the New York Islanders.
Don Waddell knows what he's doing. Why couldn't we have attracted Don Waddell as a GM when he left Carolina?
We're too busy happy with Lou Lamoriello. Our owners think, hey, we leave it to the hockey guys. We're not going to take anybody else. Hey, we're just going to let Lou do what Lou does. And we're just going to let the chips fall where they fall. Look
what Carolina did, right? They acquired Rantanen for Natchez, who was gone after next year. He was gone.
Natchez in a 2nd-round pick or a 4th-round pick, whatever it was.
There were other ancillary pieces that didn't mean anything. 4th round, 5th round pick. That didn't matter. But in essence, Natchez and a 2nd for Rantanen.
And they swung big, hoping that Rantanen would want to sign with the Carolina Hurricanes. And he gets there, he's got no interest.
And they offered him more money than Dallas wound up giving him.
No state tax in Dallas.
Okay, but it's not $1.5 million in state tax. It's only 41 games.
No state tax. It's for the future contract. It's for the future contract. No state tax.
Okay. That being said, it's $1.5 million a year. I'm sorry. His whole tax bill isn't going to be that much to the state. I live in the state. I'm telling you, it's not that much. Okay. It's not like New York or California. That's for certain.
Very true. Very true.
Okay. So what did they do? They found that he was not going to sign. So, okay, we're going to have to sell him. And they said, you know what? Let's see what we can get. They wound up getting, and we've heard from people, Phil's facts, that, Rantanen was a terrible acquisition by Carolina. Terrible. He doesn't fit what they do. He's just he's more of a straight line guy. He doesn't. But Stanghoven absolutely is what they do. So they get Stanghoven and 2 firsts. So in essence, you got Stanghoven and 2 firsts for Natchez and a 2nd. And those firsts are not this year. They're in the deep drafts of 2026 and 2027.
Yep. And again, like Stanghoven, for those who are not familiar, young 22-year-old forward, just turned 22 years old, been playing up there with Dallas, 29 points in 56 games, really, as a rookie. He played 24 games last year, had 14 points. The guy is going to put up numbers there in Carolina. You got 2 firsts and a guy who's going to contribute to your team. And guess what? Rantanen, they tried. They tried on Rantanen. And you know what they said? That's not going to work for us. We're not going to hold him. We're not going to say maybe we can convince him to join the team. Maybe we can get him on Stockholm syndrome, and maybe he'll sign long term with us. They said, hey, if you're not willing to sign, that's fine. We're just going to move on from you. And they went ahead and added the guy who's not as good as Rantanen, but maybe he's a better fit for the Carolina Hurricanes, and 2 first-round picks. Guess what? Carolina, despite always being competitive, always being top 3 in the division, still manages to acquire draft picks, which they then use to backload guys and backload talented players. They have think about it. Carolina has one of the top prospect pools in the NHL. They're not willy-nilly and just carelessly throwing wind with their first-round picks. They're acquiring draft picks, and guess what? That leaves them 2 years and 3 years from now when they have more draft capital they can try to trade to add to the team if they need to at the deadline. They still have a draft pick because they're thinking on the forefront.
Carolina's biggest issue is that the owners cheat.
They don't have a goalie. Don't have a goalie.
That's right. They don't have a goalie, and it cost them last year with Gensel. They wanted to play it cheap, give him a low ball contract extension. He said no. It cost them. Absolutely did.
Because Gensel definitely is a good player. Definitely a fantastic player.
They've never been a team that goes for it. The last 2 years they've went for it. And here's the thing. You get kudos from me if you're going for it and trying to win. This is, to me, I felt that this is a transition year for them anyway. Brett Burns is gone after this year. Maybe Lamoriello can sign him back too.
Dmitry Orlov is gone after this year.
They might sign him back for a 1 year or maybe 2 years. But you know what they do? Their minor league system is loaded with really good defensemen, loaded with wingers ready to step in. It's not a problem. I think they need another I thought Rantanen would have been a good fit for them, honestly. It didn't work out. But you know what? Everything they seem to do seems to work out. They still need a goalie, though. You're right there. You're 100% right there, TJ. They're short a goalie, and I don't think they realize that. Maybe they just think system could overcome goalie, but they need a top-notch goalie. They do.
But to answer your question, though, I am not sure who I would rather or who I'd rather be who I would say, yes, I'd rather be the Islanders in this team. I'm not sure there's any team I would rather be than in New York, or I'm having a hard time phrasing this. I'm not sure there's any team out there in the NHL that I'd rather be the Islanders over that team.
Maybe, okay, here are the other teams that I think, and before Thursday, I would have said Boston, because I thought Boston was an old team with not a whole lot of prospects hanging on to the past, but they changed that.
They have a direction. Boston has a direction.
Now they do, yeah.
Yep, they've got a direction.
They realize it.
Yep.
The Flyers, they're in perpetual suckitude also.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, maybe Pittsburgh.
They have young guys like Michkov who are playing at a top tier level, right? Like when you look at Philly, I think that they still are far away, and they're going to be drafting early in this year's draft. They're still in a sell mode. They sold last year too, but at least they still have a direction. They're kind of still going through the rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, and then Pittsburgh's pretty much a dumpster fire. But you know what? Dubas has realized that, you know what, this is over. They tried for 1 year. I can understand why they did it. They tried to go for it last year when they brought in Carlson and, with Letang and Malkin and Crosby. Okay, the difference between them and the Islanders, those guys all won Stanley Cups, multiple Stanley Cups. And that's why they kept them together.
Hall of Famers is what they did. Letang's a Hall of Famer. Carlson's probably a Hall of Famer. Crosby's a Hall of Famer. Malkin's a Hall of Famer. They're saying, we're rolling the dice back one more time. We're hoping we could squeeze a little bit more blood from this orange.
And then, but I picked Buffalo over. So I just think they're a poor management team.
Buffalo, all they need is a different general manager and a head coach, and that solves their problems.
I believe
Lindsey Ruff's not the head coach. And I think their issues are more right. You could say, I think Buffalo has the player personnel. I think they've got the wrong coach and the wrong GM, though. That's the issue with Buffalo.
Agreed.
The issue with the Islanders are the player personnel isn't there, and we've got the wrong general manager. We're a directionless team. That's it. What are we going to do to get better this next year? That's what I'm wondering.
They don't want to move anybody. What are the odds that they re-sign give Anders Lee a short-term extension after his contract expires? Or J.G. Pageau. Now, here's the thing. I didn't think we should trade Pageau at this deadline. I thought he would slide into the number 2 center role, which is what he's going to do anyway. Okay? And then you sell him at next year's deadline. Do you have any faith that they're going to sell him at next year's deadline? If Lamoriello's a GM? I don't.
If Lee wants to be back or has a handshake deal, no, they won't sell him. Maybe he'll say, I want to retire an Islander. Give me a 1 or 2 year contract. I'm dedicated to this team.
Or Pageau.
Okay, sounds good.
What about Pageau? He's another guy whose contract's up next year.
Doesn't matter. As long as Lou's here, he's not selling if players are willing to sign back. Think about it. We didn't sell Zach Parise because he had a handshake deal not to sell him. Didn't sell Zdeno Chara, had a handshake deal. Cal Clutterbuck, handshake deal. All of these guys we don't sell that are on expiring deals. We continue to extend them out well past their peak. And you know what we do at that point? Then we just let them retire with the Islanders. So you're not a team that could ever sell at the deadline because our GM doesn't do it.
And then in the West, the only teams I'm looking at that I'm like, yeah, I don't know if Nashville is in trouble.
Nashville has a direction. They're going to be really shitty for a long time. They at least have a direction. They're about to sink their submarine ship all the way down, and they're going to rebuild it from the studs.
But they have a lot of long-term contracts on that team that's going to be a problem. It is.
Hey, newsflash, Grumpy. We've got a lot of long-term contracts on our team that are going to be some really bad news for us too, Grump.
I understand. And then Chicago is the other one. Chicago's the other team.
I'd rather be Chicago than us too.
I don't know. I think they're 100 years away.
They've got the goalie problem solved. They've got Connor Bedard. They're drafting young pieces around the board. They have a direction. It's called being shitty with drafting multiple players in early selections, and hopefully you're hitting on some of those to become good. What is the Islanders' direction? Grump, every single one of these teams you're listing has a direction. I cannot name a single team in the NHL besides the Islanders that has zero direction. We were here, back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, and then we took a step below. Why? Because I don't believe in a 10-year rebuild. What is a rebuild? 10 years? Huh. That's the reason you're not doing it. Guess what? You're going to have to go through rebuild whether you want to or not. Chicago, back-to-back Stanley Cups. Oh, Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, everything's so great. Guess what? The guys eventually get old and you have to fucking rebuild. That's how it works. Oh, great. Los Angeles Kings. Oh, man, Los Angeles Kings, back-to-back, 2 Stanley Cups in 3 years. Oh, Los Angeles Kings. They just keep going on forever. Well, guess what? They had to rebuild and start from scratch. The Red Wings, they win 15 years or however many years it was without missing the playoffs. They're winning Stanley Cups. Oh, Fedorov, Datsuk, look at how many Zetterberg, so many great players. Guess what happens? Eventually the players get old and you got to go ahead and rebuild. It is the natural cycle. It's the natural cycle of it. And for you to say, well, we're not going to rebuild because it takes 10 years to rebuild. If you're at that point in the natural cycle and you're just saying, I'm prolonging it, guess what? The 10-year fucking rebuild still exists and you're still going to have to do it. All we've done is made what should have been a 10-year rebuild. We prolonged it to make it 15 years because we stayed in the middle for 5 years, then the rebuild for another 10. So we had a 15 years of absolute suckitude and it just kills the fan base. That's what you've done. That's what you've done, Lou. Hope you're happy.
I mean, after this year, you're going to have 4 years of don't make the playoffs 2 years, squeak in the other 2 years, and get shit canned by. And then you get Carolina. You get stuck in the hurricane and sucked out to sea. That's it. Done.
And again, I think Nashville, trading away Askarov this offseason was the dumbest thing they could have done. Barry just made many, many, many mistakes. But again, at least Barry understands now. Nah, shit, I rolled the dice and I made the mistake. Not good enough. We need to start trading away assets. At least he understands. He made a colossal blunder, but he said, oof, okay, I got a course direct. I screwed that one up.
Every move that Barry made this offseason has failed. Every single one.
I told you it in preseason when I watched them play. That team was bad. Bad.
And I just want to touch on Tampa. They just know what they're doing. Last year and 2 years ago, I looked at Tampa. I'm like, man, they are so slow. Even the last couple of years where they were, they lost to Florida both years. And I'm like, man, they are so slow compared to Florida. They're not slow anymore. They had their core guys, and they turned everybody over. And here's the thing: they don't even have draft picks. They just know what they're doing from a personnel side.
They got rid of Sergachev. See you later, Sergachev. That's part of the natural attrition. We had to get rid of you. We had contracts coming up. We needed to make some changes. See you later, Sergachev. And Sergachev's done well in Utah, but it needed to be done. And they used the draft capital they picked up from Sergachev. One they drafted, and the other one they packaged up to say, here you go, we're adding to the team. That's what they did. Right. They understand the game. This is the part that killed me. This is from a quote from Pierre LeBrun on Trade Central. We know how difficult it was for Lou to trade Brock Nelson. It really was. This is really the Islanders' way of saying, we're still in this.
In what?
Signing back Kyle Palmieri, offering discussion with Kyle Palmieri on an extension. That was Lou's way of saying, we're still in this.
That was 11 o'clock in the morning. Why do you don't need to make that decision 11 o'clock in the morning.
Correct.
I mean,
now it's 12. It was 12 Eastern Standard Time, but yes.
Okay, but you don't need to do that. But by the time it gets out to the media, everyone knows it already.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to touch one second. Look at everybody. Look who Tampa signed back. I remember when they signed Nick Paul back, and I'm like, man, he's just kind of a ham and egg or a Hagel. Remember when they re-signed Hagel back? I'm like, man, that guy's a freaking turnover machine.
Yes, Hagel was awful. I didn't think much of Hagel at all.
Yeah, but you know what? He turned out to be a damn good player. Getting him from Chicago.
Yep.
He's really good. He's turned out to be really good. And Nick Paul's he was a third liner. Now he's playing second line. He's really good for them. They just pick up Yanni Gord and Boquist, not Boquist. Whoever they got 2 guys from Seattle. What a great deal. What did they need?
Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Right. They picked those 2 guys up. Bjorkstrand's a good player. And they picked him up for a first and a second, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay. But they're not afraid to make a move. And all of a sudden, their bottom 6 looks really good. They're going to be a tough team to beat. They're going to be tough out.
What we're going to do is now, we haven't listened to this. He just addressed the media here. So we'll listen to it live. We'll listen to it with you. Well, we're not listening. We're going to listen to it for the first time here together.
Okay.
Then we're going to get to some comments. So Grumpy, you know what? Actually, let's read the ad. Then we're going to listen to this. I'm making an executive decision. We're going to read the ad. Then we're going to go ahead and listen to this. And then we'll start getting through the comments. So thank you guys for the comments. We're going to get to them, I promise. But thank you so much for the patience. We do have an ad today to read from DraftKings. This NHL season has been predictable as the puck is rolling on its edge. No one knows what's going on. But that just means that there's time for your favorite team to figure things out. Guys, there's time for the Islanders to figure things out, don't you hear? Sure. And games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and select your team and place your first bet. If you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN. Again, that's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available. If you have a gambling problem, call 888-79-77-77 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort. You must be 21 years or older, and age varies by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio. All righty, guys. Let's listen to this. Let's listen to our boy Luke Grumpy. I'm going to jack the volume up, so just be
kind. I'll try not to say anything.
No, I'll try it. I'll try to watch.
But no other moves other than the Cholowski. Once you traded Brock, was there a consideration to sort of do a full retool? I know you hate the word rebuild. You don't like that. But was there that consideration if he was gone to do more?
Well, first of all, the word rebuild, that's something that's brand new over the last several years.
Stupid bastard.
Can we talk about it? The phrase rebuild is
retool is the brand new word that they've come up with the last 5 years. Everything's always been a rebuild. You stupid old fuck. See, that's the thing. Don't lie to the people, you dumb bastard. Don't lie to the people. Stop lying to the people. Lying cocksucker.
Alrighty.
And if the definition of rebuild is completely break down and go forward, that's a good 10 years.
Right.
So what you try and do, and I use a different word, is, it's like maybe retool, not that that's a good word, but try and go in such a way that you don't lose the competitiveness and the opportunity to win today, but get it towards the best possible you can.
Okay, quick question for you. How are we winning today, Lou? What is our regular season record over the last 4 years? Curious. Do we have a winning record or a losing record over the last 4 years?
Just to throw it out, over the last 10 games, just for shits and giggles, 4-6. So anyone, Bill was telling me, they've made up this many points on Detroit. You realize over the last 10 games, they've lost a point to Detroit. I mean, they haven't gained a point on anyone who was ahead of them, and they've actually lost ground. They haven't made up any ground on any of the teams ahead of them. Not 1 point. The closest they came was being tied with somebody else with 0 points changed.
I do have a serious question though. What is I'm curious. What do you think the record is of the New York Islanders over the last 4 seasons? I'm genuinely interested. I got to do some math on this, Grumpy, but he says we want to stay competitive and we want to try to be able to do it as we stay competitive. So that's this updated rebuild or retool, as he calls it. But let's listen to more.
But as far as depleting something, that's not something that works.
Oh, rebuilds don't work. Do you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Rebuilds don't work. Wow.
Is what Lou has done, has that worked? He's been here 7 years and they've won nothing. They've won nothing from him being here 7 years. Nothing.
I would say the 2 Eastern Conference Finals was actually Garth Snow. Thank you, Garth Snow, because that happened because of
COVID. Thank you, COVID. Thanks, COVID.
That happened because of Garth Snow.
And
the
COVID.
entire team he inherited was drafted by Garth Snow, rebuilt under Garth Snow. Lou didn't do a damn thing. The team had to go through a many-year rebuild to build that team that Lou's squandered away. Thank you so much, Lou. Rebuilds don't work.
Or maybe the fact that those guys all got old. It's been 7 years.
Question for you. Out of Tampa's team when they were winning Stanley Cups, did they draft Steven Stamkos?
Yep.
Did they draft Victor Hedman?
Yep.
Did they draft Vasilevsky?
Yep.
Did they draft Kucherov?
Yep. Braden Point.
Did they draft Braden Point?
Yep.
Oh, Mike. Hold on a second. That's 5 Hall of Famers that they drafted. Yeah. Some weren't the first round pick, but guess what? They hit on their top 3 picks. They hit on Hedman and they hit on Stamkos. They went through a rebuild and shit, Lou. They saw 3 Stanley Cup appearances in 3 years. They saw 2 Stanley Cup wins. It seems like that rebuild maybe worked. I don't know. When the Kings won, did the Kings draft Anze Kopitar?
Yep.
Did they draft Jonathan Quick?
Yep.
Dustin Brown. Did they draft Drew Doughty?
Yep.
Oh my God. Look at this. Man, like their core was built through the draft. That's great. For Chicago, when they won their 2 cups, did they draft Patrick Kane?
Yep.
How about Jonathan Taves?
Yep.
Corey Crawford? Did they draft Corey Crawford?
I think they did.
Did they draft Nick Leddy? How about Nick Chalmerson? Did they draft him too? Oh man. Duncan Keith. Did they draft Duncan Keith? Oh shit, they drafted him too. Oh my God, this team, they drafted all their top tier players through the fucking draft. No way. Did they go through a rebuild to do? Oh, no way. Look at that. This stupid motherfucker. I'm done with this fucking team. Done with him. Done with him until this motherfucker dies or he's no longer the GM. He'll be here until he wants to leave. I cannot support this team.
No, we are not wishing for him to die.
No. But he will be here until he leaves. He'll be here until he decides to leave.
That's right. Until he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore.
If he wants to be here at 92 years old, he will be here at 92 years old. The only way he'll not be the GM until he says, I want to step away, and it won't be like they force him out. I want to step away, or he's no longer here. That's it. He will be here until he wants to leave. I can't support it. I can't support this team. We'll listen to the rest of this. I cannot support this team. I can't support him. I can't support this team. I can't support this dumb motherfucker having no sense about how rebuilds work. It doesn't work. Every rebuild does not result in a Stanley Cup, but if you want Stanley Cups, you have to have Hall of Famers. The only way to get Hall of Famers is through the draft. Hall of Famers don't get traded on an everyday basis, Lou. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Is retool an accurate phrase for what you guys are now doing?
Or you can define it any way you want. The word retool, you know what I'm saying? I only use that expression, so I can't say whether that's a good word. I can't.
What's wrong with the media? What are you doing with this team? Why don't you tell us? Don't ask. I'm asking you. What are you doing? Because it looks like you just put like a pole in the water and just said, well, this is what this is. What are you doing with the team? What direction are you going with the team? For a team that has won 3 playoff games in 4 years, because they're not in the playoff game this year. What are you doing? Why don't you tell us what you're doing? Because it seems like you're an old man who doesn't know what you're talking about. Don't throw the question back at me. I'm asking you a question. What are you trying to do with this team? Whatever you're doing ain't working.
Find maybe the best word for it, but we know we have to do more than what just transpired. That we feel very strongly on that. And I want to...
We got to do more than what transpired. Okay. Yeah.
Wait.
Okay, cool. Is that why we didn't do anything? Because we just do more?
He just had his opportunity to do that, and he chose not to.
Tell me more. Fuck.
Dude, my follow-up is, hold on, you say that and then you do nothing. What are you talking about?
You're the
You say
GM, right?
you realize a lot of changes have to be made. You realize that, but you had an opportunity to do it and you did nothing. All you did was re-sign a guy who should have been moved. Why is that? If you know Dobson, do you want to re-sign with this team?
I hope he doesn't.
If you're Romanoff, do you really want to? Well, he probably's real comfortable here. So
He's not going anywhere.
he doesn't have to defend anyone. Just throw a couple of body checks, try to staple somebody to the boards. It doesn't matter. So for him, it's fine.
So the record for the Islanders over the last 4 years, 146, 119, and 42. So more losses than wins. Good to see. Good to see. Let's listen more. Let's listen to more what our savior Lou has to say.
Answer the Brock Nelson situation first. We would have liked to have kept Brock. I won't apologize for that. You do not, have a center iceman like that and just lose a player like that. It's hard to replace.
He's 33 years old and will be 34 at the start of next year.
He's absolutely taken a step back the last 2 years. He absolutely has. Why would you want to bring back someone who's on the downside?
Let's bring back a guy who's offering diminished returns. That is going to help our team be better. Okay, gotcha. Okay, good to hear, Lou, because rebuilds don't work. Let's keep hearing.
But we made an offer that we felt was fair and for the length of terms that we felt was good for him and what he can bring to the team, and it wasn't enough. And so that's when you make that decision that it's best for the organization. Now see what can and can't be done. And we had somewhat of an indication, and we had to get back a top prospect. Any of the teams that we talked to, it had to be their top prospect.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, got to pop this up. MAGA. Actually, the St. Louis Blues did have a Hall of Famer, and so did Vegas. His name is Alex Pietrangelo. He'll make the Hall of Fame. So that team did have a Hall of Famer. Name any team in the last 2 decades, 20 years, who didn't have a Hall of Famer on them. I'll wait. But yes, Alex Pietrangelo will make the Hall of Fame. We'll continue along, though.
And I feel very fortunate for the organization that we were able to get the quality player who plays that position and, is able to basically come right into the lineup. And the reason that he only played X number of games this year was they wanted to save the year of his contract at an entry level, because you can only play up to 9. You play 10, you lose a year.
Yeah, we got it.
Which we did.
Yeah, he played 7. I got it there, Lou. And he was a -7 with 1 point. I understand.
With Dobson, if you recall, for different reasons.
Man, he just can't
So
wait.
we're delighted with the results, but we're.
Was that Graham?
He's up here filibustering. Dude,
That's
okay. You know what? They need to be like these senators. Just say, okay, I have a limited amount of time here, brother. I don't need you to tell me about Noah. I don't need you to break down the rules on how guys play. What do you think? We're stupid? No, dude. Why are you decimating this franchise? Are you not capable of resurrecting this franchise? Because it's not ownership would get can your ass. Should you be afraid of your job? I think you should. That's more of a statement than a question, but still.
Are we happy with Brock Nelson in the lineup with every transition we might be going through and will be going through to get younger? Okay. And that's where we're at. I really don't get into anything other than, Brock wanted to stay. And, I think that.
Good.
How do you say we want to get younger, and your first move is to re-sign a 34-year-old to a 3-year, at least a 3-year extension? It'll be a 3-year extension. It'll be 3 years. It absolutely will be 3 years. And he's going to get a raise. You watch him get a raise. We absolutely need to get younger. So I'm going to sign a 45-year-old. Zdeno Chara's coming back.
Let's bring him back, baby.
Shannon did a great job of post game. I saw it of seeing really where his heart was.
Look at this sentimental old fuck. This is what happens. He's gone soft. It's seriously, when they get old, they get sentimental. Here's the thing: your business.
It's true.
Man,
when you get old, you get sentimental.
You get sentimental. You do. It just happens. You're not supposed to be sentimental as a general manager. You're not. You're supposed to be a guy who's a bottom line, no nonsense, all business. That's what I want for my GM. right? I don't. Oh man, Shannon did such a great. Hey, buddy, we're asking why he didn't sign back, or what the plan was essentially going.
And you're talking about what
Shannon did such a great job interviewing him afterwards, and did such a great job connecting with Brock on a human level. We honestly, all of us could see that. We saw it with our eyes and we heard it. I don't need you to restate that and start talking about that. You're trying to address why you were inadequate at this year's trade deadline. That's what you're trying to do right now.
His thing, I did not watch him cry because I probably would have pissed on my television. So I'm like, nope, not doing that.
Okay,
and by the way, anyone who listens to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show tomorrow, X went on some is he millennial or a Gen X, Y, Z? I don't know what the hell he is.
Matter.
But he went on some rant that just has to be brought up tomorrow.
Okay, great. Let's get back to Lou.
But this is still a business. When you look at different things, sometimes it comes down to a business. And
can we talk about the business? So how do you measure success in business? In the NHL and professional sports, it's based off of success of how many wins you have and your postseason success. Our regular season success is 146, 119, and 42 in the last 4 years. Again, overtime and shootout losses, ladies and gentlemen, are losses. That's why it says OTL. That L stands for loss, and SOL stands for shootout loss. It's a loss. It's not a win or it's not a nothing. It goes down under the column as loss. When you're at the end of the day, you're not like, oh man, that just game ended as a tie. No, it ended up as a loss. So we have a losing record in the regular season, and we won 3 playoff games in 3 years so far.
Can you tell us
success?
What's our winning percentage in the playoffs when it's nut cutting time? What's our winning percentage?
Well, in the last 4 years, including this year, I'd assume not good, Grump. Not good. We've lost 12 games and we've got 3 wins.
So it's like
I'm sorry, we've lost 6 games and have 3 wins.
No, we've lost 8.
We didn't. Oh yeah, 8 games. I'm sorry. We've won 3 games and lost 8.
Yeah. So it's like, what's the winning percentage of that?
I
don't know. It's not very good. I mean, I guess I could whip it up. I'll do it.
It's 27%. 27%.
Is that good business, Lou?
The overtime losses counted as losses. You wouldn't fucking believe it, but those losses that we lost in overtime to Carolina, they didn't give us just the game didn't count. They gave us a loss for that, Grump. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's why we lost the games, because the silly guys didn't just let it end in a tie. When we get the overtime loss and shootout loss, it doesn't count as a loss, apparently, in the regular season. It did in the overtime in the playoffs. Who would have thought?
Can I just say what we've learned so far this first 3.5 minutes is that we've learned the definition of retool and rebuild.
It's different.
We're breaking it down. We're getting definitions and what words are. Then we're also talking about how, Shannon Hogan did such a great job as a studio host interviewing Brock Nelson. And also we found out how many games you have to play before you burn a year on your ELC. That's what we've learned in 3.5 minutes.
That's what we've learned from the general manager. Let's continue. Let's see what else he's got.
And we wanted to do nothing. We wanted to get younger by re-signing guys in their mid-30s.
We wanted to re-sign back Brock Nelson, right? We wanted to do that, but we want to get younger. But we wanted to sign back Brock.
We're absolutely going to get younger. So how do we do that? We re-sign Kyle Palmieri.
Okay.
We respect it, understand it, and we have to.
We're seeing nothing here, TJ, just to let you know. There's nothing. TJ probably screwed something up. So this is not playing right now. It's not playing. And you're on mute. You're muted. You are muted. TJ is muted. He says he knows. I don't think he really does.
Good job not buying it all. I had to replug back in the audio board. Yeah, again, like just 5 seconds I needed. But thank you. We'll continue on. I know I was muted.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew it because you looked like you were talking.
I did, and you just kept saying the same thing over and over again. I heard you.
To do what is best for the organization, and that's what I feel we did.
I just wanted to be clear, but I'm sorry. Earlier you'd said, or I thought I heard you say, we needed to do more, we wanted to do more. It was a seller's market. Was there a lot out there to get?
If we could have gotten younger and better, other than draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
Other than draft picks. This guy doesn't believe in the draft. He doesn't believe in the draft. There you go. Here's your answer. This guy doesn't believe in draft picks. He doesn't believe in drafting. You want to know why we never have first-round picks? Because this guy doesn't believe in them. He doesn't believe that they offer any sort of value. Doesn't believe in draft picks. There you go. That's your answer.
You know what he should have said? If we could have got, younger like every other team did, they were all capable of doing, but you weren't.
He didn't want draft picks. He doesn't want draft picks.
What a dumbass.
That's your problem. He's not suited. He's not equipped to be a general manager at this point. He's just not. Again, it's a short term investment from Malcolm Ledecky. They don't care about the long term, which is why they don't care about their general manager just not giving any sort of credence or value to draft picks, because the draft is the lifeblood of the organization. Doesn't believe in the draft pick.
Maybe we should go to the NFL, but we don't need any draft picks. We don't need those.
Again, every single team that wins Stanley Cups, the majority of the team, 9 times out of 10, the team that wins the Stanley Cup, majority of the players and the contributors on the team were drafted by the team. That's simple.
We would have done it without question. But we felt that
we wanted every team to give up their top prospect and a first-round pick for any asset we sold. Okay.
Of this subpar team.
Yeah.
Where a few of our players are, when I say a few, several.
So instead, because we didn't get the value that we wanted, we decided to re-sign back a 34-year-old winger who doesn't offer us any sort of value on a team that's already aged by Lou's standard, is what he said.
Players that we could have made moves with, they would be better done at a different time, where what we need to sort of infuse in a lineup, those players would be available. That's a decision we made. And along the way, we tried also to look at this season. We're 4 points out.
Oh, he's doubling down. He wants to try to make the playoffs. He thinks his team's a competitor still. We're only 4 points out of a playoff spot. Well, actually, we're more than 4 points out.
FYI, it's 5, you stupid old piece of shit. You no-counting bastard.
Didn't know how to get it. Didn't get the information before the game, I guess.
Not to give up in any way whatsoever on the guys in that room without hurting what the mission was to go into the trade deadline. And it ended up the way it was.
Was that, Graham?
What was the mission? What was the mission? This first time we hear about a mission. Let's hear your mission statement. What's your mission statement, Lou? What's the mission statement?
Yeah, there is no mission statement. I don't know. X wants me to read a comment. Sorry, X. You're going to have to actually post it up for me, buddy. Sorry, I don't have that.
Come on, X.
Yeah.
But I can assure you that if there were other players, and not of the caliber that we got, but close to that, there would have been a lot more moves.
What we had heard.
So we needed teams to give up top 20, top 30 prospects and draft picks in order for us to make moves. What, Grumpy, any opinion on that? You're still watching something else? Okay,
I'm reading the comment that X put up.
I don't know what this means. Did you mean to time out Alex? No, I didn't time anybody out.
TJ said he what he did was he
nobody got timed out. Nobody got timed out. If somebody got timed out, it was not me. If it was, oh yeah. Okay, gotcha. X must have done that. X fucked it up again. Okay.
Sorry, X.
You're working on an extension with Kyle Palmer. Is the expectation you'll get that done?
We're talking to Kyle. We'd like to keep Kyle, but once again, under our terms, as far as similar to a Brock, because a player like that, with the young players that will be infused in this lineup, there's and you still have to have players that can play, and he brings a certain element, but might not happen. But we'll see. We'll see.
Was Scott
good?
So moving 1 or 2 players means you don't have enough guys can play. Then that's a failure as you as a general manager, right?
It's almost like if you use your draft picks to draft players. If somebody went down, you'd have somebody in the AHL that you can replace them with, right? That's if you believed a little bit in the draft, you could gather one of those players up that are young and ready to produce, right?
How Gross should have asked that question is, you say your thing is to get younger, but here you are trying to re-sign a 34-year-old Kyle Palmieri. Why? How does that make you younger? And let's see, let the old man squirm and let's see what he can do. And if he says, well, he brings leadership, well, isn't that what you have? Bo Horvat, Anders Lee, JG Pajot, Pulak, Pellick, all these other guys. How many guys in their mid-30s do you need on this team for leadership purposes? What are they leading? It would be
No,
a confrontational interview if I had one with him.
Just because he's here, was he involved at all in yesterday or any decisions that happened or didn't happen?
I'd like to, maybe it's a good question to put something to rest. I've been in this business a long time,
You're not kidding.
and I have always had a boss. I've never done anything without working with him and talking to him, whether it be John McMullen or George Steinbrenner, to just use names. And anybody out there who thinks that anybody in my position just works in autonomy, there is no person in my position in any of the 4 professional sports that does that.
So to answer your question, Scott Malkin and John Ledecky do not care about the long-term success of this organization because they plan on selling the team once they go ahead and develop the real estate. Once they develop the mall, once they develop the rest of the real estate that's around that area and they have the All-Star game, they will be selling the team. You can book it here first. They will be selling the team. They want to keep the team as quasi-competitive as humanly possible, so when they sell out, they could try to maximize the dollars that they get for it. They're looking to say, great, you could see the profit and the revenue from last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and 4 years ago. Look at how profitable we are. But in reality, we're gutting the team by not using any draft picks and not allowing ourselves to naturally and organically rebuild. So whoever purchases the team next will be in for a massive rebuild. That's what you have with this ownership group. That's who this ownership group is. They're looking to develop the land. He's in lockstep. Keep the team as quasi-competitive as possible, where we can maybe squeak in and earn ourselves a little few games in the playoffs for a little bit of revenue, and that's all we want you to do. We don't care if you're trading away every single first-round pick. We don't care if we're going to have no draft selections. We don't care if we barely squeak in the last game of every single year, then to get the doors blown off in the first round of playoffs. We don't care about that. We need the team to be as we need the team to have as good of a revenue margin as humanly possible. So when we sell, we can go ahead and maximize the sale of the team. That's what they're doing. That's what the owners are looking to do. And they're in lockstep with Lou. That's what it is. The ownership is the problem because they continue to allow Lou to be here. They continue to allow this to continue to persist. The ownership is just as much of a problem as Lou is. That's the issue. I cannot support this. I cannot support this franchise. I cannot support this team. Can't support them. Can't support them. It's a waste. Honestly, it's a waste of your time. It's a waste. You know what it's like? It's like when the Giants signed back Daniel Jones to a long-term contract extension. No need to bother watching the Giants for 4 years or the 2 years before they cut him. You just knew the end result. No need to waste your time with it. It's getting to the same point with this team too. You can see the result every single year. Barely squeak in maybe to the postseason to lose in the first round of the playoffs year after year after year. That is the result. Guess what? That's going to be my prediction for next year too. I'm going to roll the dice, the magic 8-ball. That's the end result. Simple.
Disgraceful.
Oh man, simple.
And I like the Nelson trade. I like the Nelson trade. I loved what they did. But the fact is that you still don't have you still didn't tell us what you want to do. We want to get younger. Well, you didn't. Why not? Why did you not continue down that path? Why did you just stop at the guy who would not sign a contract extension? Why were you even offering, where this franchise is, why are you even offering any guys in their mid-30s contract extensions?
Because he needs to keep the team. He needs to keep the revenue as high as humanly possible for when they sell, they can look at it and say, look at the revenue over the last 5 years. It's not like it's a one-year outlier that our revenue is this. Look at the last 5 years. This is consistent revenue. You should buy the team because of this reason. And we're going to jack the price up another 20 or 30 million when we sell. So it makes sense for them. That's the point. That's what they're looking to do. That's what they're looking to do. And you know who pays the price for this? Again, they don't care about the team. They don't care about the fans. They could put Goofy out there as often as they want. Goofy's Ledecky, for those who are unfamiliar. And they can have him waving out there on the Long Island Railroad, hey, and waving and meeting and greeting with the fans and celebrating. You know, it doesn't matter.
He's
Actions speak louder than the words.
He's not even in the stands anymore.
Yeah, well, again, because the fans are upset.
That's right.
And it's just more and more that way.
Yeah.
The novelty of the new stadium wears off as a while. And when you're having an average performance year in and year out, eventually the fans will start to get upset. But they're going to be selling the team around that time period anyway.
The only way to elicit change is for the fans to stop feeding the machine with their money. That's it. That's the only thing that they understand. Stop giving them money and there will be change. Stop giving the organization money.
Yeah.
But most people don't do that. They're happy to go. Like I said, the Islanders fans, the majority of them have been just conditioned to be losers. And they think
We've been bad for so long.
They think making it to the Eastern Conference Finals 5 years ago and 6 years ago or 4 and 5 years ago, that was a success. It's not. It's not.
No, you're right. It's going to be after we don't make it this year. It'll be 5 and 6 years ago that we made the Eastern Conference Final. 5 and 6 years ago.
Almost
We're
like
hanging our hat off of finishing 4th place 5 and 6 years ago. I guess some people are happy with that. Some people that could last them for a decade. I don't know.
It's people who've never seen a winner before. They don't root for wins. They probably root for the Jets and the Mets. Other perpetual losers. It's funny. I always
Knicks,
say
the Nets, etc. They're all losers.
they're all losers, and it's most fans. They have. It's like, okay, if you're a New Yorker, most fans fit into the group: Mets, Jets,
Giants,
Islanders, and Nets. The losers, and the other one are the upper crust: the Knicks, and the Knicks haven't been great. They're better this year. The Giants, who've won Super Bowls, the Rangers, and what's the other sport I missed?
Yankees.
And the Yankees. Those are like the winners, and then the other ones are the sad sacks. I mean, and that's the Islanders are in a sad sack group. They just are. They just are. Lovable losers.
You want to listen to the end of this? You want to listen to Biggie the Buzzard talking more about this?
Listen to the
We'll
whole
just
rest
stay
of the
quiet. Less than the last 6 minutes. We're going to stay quiet. No interruptions on this. We'll listen to the last 6 minutes and we'll get the comments.
So why and where this all comes from, I don't know. But I think I put that to bed. How about it, Butch?
Sounds good to me. Hey, just interest-wise, are you expecting Hogberg back very soon? And is there any chance Semyon Varlamov is a consideration for the rest of the season?
I think that Varlamov is going to be difficult for the rest of the season. But Hogberg should be available day to day.
You mentioned Shannon's emotional injury with Brock Nelson, and a lot of guys have spent their whole careers with the Islanders. It's a really special culture. What makes it so tough for guys to leave and makes guys so inclined to stay?
Yeah, you'd have to talk to them. I can't answer that. They were here before me, but I can assure you that when it comes down to making decisions, it's going to make the team better. There's no sentiment involved, or there's no loyalty as far as when it comes to the business aspect of it, and vice versa. So that's why there's no hard feelings when a player leaves. You wish him the best, but you have to make those decisions the best for you and your family, and then we have to make whatever decisions are best for the franchise.
What with Callum Ritchie? He's finishing up his junior season. What's the plan after that?
Well, first of all, he will, we'll certainly bring him in, and we'll have him practice. Hopefully, he goes through the whole Memorial Cup run, and so he's playing as long as he can. But we will not burn the year on him. He will not, play and won't be able to play in the American League as well.
So development camp and then training camp. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
When you talk about kind of getting younger and things like that, I know you're not going to make moves just for the sake of making moves, but when you look ahead into the summer, is there sort of a feeling that there could be more change than maybe there has been here in recent years?
There will be change this summer.
He's lying.
Until there's change, you can't say how much.
He's a liar.
But I can assure you there'll be change.
He's a liar. He's lying. He's lying. He's never made any changes in the summer, ever.
Romanoff, he'll trade away a first-round draft pick for a player. Get ready for it. That's the change that he means. He'll trade away our draft picks, which he said earlier. He doesn't believe in adding. He doesn't believe in the draft. He'll trade away some draft picks for maybe a 24, 25-year-old average ham and egger who can maybe play a middle six role for us. That's what he means. He'll pick up a second-line center, a quasi-second-line center for a draft pick in this year's draft. That's what he'll do.
Maybe he'll try to pick up Casey Middlestat from Boston for a first-round pick.
God, he got traded to Boston, right? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team has always been so high. What can you share about the vision for the next few years?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Your belief in the team has always been so high. What drives from that, and just your vision for the next few years?
Well, right now I'm just focused on today.
You got a GM. Oh, fuck, I said I wouldn't pause it. You got a GM who's asked, "What is your plan for the future for this team?" He says, "I'm just focused on today."
Sounds
There's
like
a reason
doesn't that sound like a coach getting ready to lose his job?
That's the reason he's just focused on today. But again, a general manager who's not
Okay.
focused on anything but
All
an
right.
inch in
All
front
right.
of his face.
I got to stick up for him. When you're a trillion years old, you can only think about today.
No, but seriously, he's only ever since he's come here, he's only cared about today. It's the reason why he never cares about the draft and doesn't care about rebuilds. There's a reason why Toronto kicked his ass upstairs after 1 year. As soon as he started talking about things like, "Oh yeah, I don't believe in the draft. I don't believe in draft picks," they said, "We're kicking your ass upstairs, buddy. See you later."
Now, this will probably make some segment of the Islander fan base happy. If he had been with the Islanders longer, we wouldn't have Noah Dobson and certainly not Oliver Wallstrom. They never would have been drafted. He'd have
Never
moved
would have drafted Sorokin. Would have probably traded that third round
He
pick.
probably
away
would have picked up Nick Lidstrom, who's retired, and who else? Somebody, and Kovalev. Kovalev, who's been retired.
Kovalev, anybody, yeah.
In the game tonight, and I'm trying to answer because I haven't spoken to anybody, after the trade deadline. But whatever we've got in mind, that's a process.
Whatever we have in mind. It's whatever you have in mind. You're the general manager, you motherfucker. It's not whatever we have in mind. You're the GM.
Keep rolling.
I'm sorry.
Keep rolling.
Always going, but the focus right now is, we're 4 points out, and this game tonight is very important, and that's the way our coaches are feeling. That's the way our players are feeling. Now that day has passed, this is season.
I know it's just one game. You're looking at a bigger picture, but that loss to the Rangers, I think, was that on Monday. Your belief in this team, how does a game like that maybe not make you waver?
Look at the look. He just gave him this piercing eye scrub.
He's like, yo, fat fingers. What do you? That's not a question we fed you to ask.
That's not an approved question here, Andrew Gross. Dude,
Yeah.
I love Andrew Gross for asking that question. Though. Absolute legend question. He looks like he wants to murder him. Look at those Beaky the Buzzard eyes piercing through Andrew Gross.
Doesn't he look just like Beaky the Buzzard in that picture right
Look
there?
at him. He wants to kill Gross. This is not even really a tough question. Just like, hey, when you got killed by the Rangers, does that impact your belief in the core of this team so late in the season? Let's see what his response is. His eyes are already telling us one thing.
Going into the trade deadline.
Well, everything weighs and as far as on you, as far as whatever decisions you do make. I've always said that your players, your team, where they stand when it comes close to the trade deadline, determines what you do and what you don't do and how far you go.
Quick question. Is that why when we were 16 points out of the playoff spot 3 years ago, we didn't trade away anybody at the trade deadline? Was the reason why? We had no shot of making the playoffs, and we were well outside of the picture. We just stayed pat. Only team that didn't make a trade.
Woo-hoo! That was the excuse train rolling through. I don't want to use this as an excuse, but
Yep. Okay. Oh, sorry.
And that stayed the same. And we knew where we were at, and whatever we did do, certainly the position we were in dictated that. If you're in a different position, you might go out and pay a tremendous price to do something. If you were in a worse position that we're in, you might do something completely drastic. And I say that only as a phrase, not saying you would do it. But what I'm trying to give you is the difference. And where we're at right now is that it was best.
Didn't answer the question is what he did. But we'll continue.
For what we could have gotten as far as making any further transactions would have not been what we need to do this summer. It's the best way I can answer that.
I guess just
it's the not answer.
Without Brock Nelson, you still have a strong belief this team can be a playoff contender.
Yes, I do.
Okay, this team is a playoff contender.
There you
We're in
go.
12th place in the Eastern Conference Finals or the Eastern Conference, but this team is a playoff contender. And hey, again, as I've mentioned a million times, the goal, Lou Lamoriello, maybe you haven't seen a Stanley Cup in so long, you forgot the goal. The goal is not to make the playoffs. The goal is to win the Stanley Cup,
Okay.
not to be a playoff contender.
Okay, that is not true. He saw it like 7 years ago when he was still in Toronto. That's where the Hockey Hall of Fame is, and they wheel him through there every once in a while. He gets to look at the Stanley Cup.
Yes, I do.
The challenges of injuries this year.
The injury.
There you go. Give him the excuse.
Well, I think that's a tremendous credit to the coaching staff and the players themselves. Injuries are part of, everybody's season. You can't dwell on them. Can't feel sorry for them, yourself or anybody else. You just have to, hope that the players who get a better opportunity rise to the occasion and do what they're capable of doing. But what I said to everyone back in Vegas, I felt then, and I feel today. Yes, it's tough going through some of the injuries that we went through. Arguably, the best player misses just about the whole year. But
that's great.
Right now, we just have to just pull our bootstraps up and just go to work and play together. And I can tell you this, the most talented teams don't always win. But the best teams do.
Is there still a
That's
hope
what he's
that
saying.
Matt will be back by?
Okay, I'm done with that. So we're done.
Okay.
We don't need to hear about Matt Burns long
I
term.
knew he was going to say this, that, and the other thing, and then he uses
But-
it. And sure enough, like I said in Vegas, that's really tough. I tell you that you can read this guy like a freaking comic book, like a coloring book. He's so easy to read.
X has done a hideous job of starring comments, might I add. X is going to get X. What are you doing here?
X is gone. X is gone. I guarantee you.
All X was doing was removing chatters from the box, deleting them. So sorry for that, Alexandra. Hopefully that got fixed. All X was doing was just deleting members because he's doing it on his phone. He's half-assed in his job again, Grump.
He said he brought his computer. He went and picked up his computer.
I talked to him earlier. He was on the phone. Anyway, he did it on the phone. He didn't want to do it on the computer. He said it was easier on his phone. That's why Alex got deleted by accident. Here you go.
Sorry.
Jeremy
He
Ford.
does that a lot. He screws that up a lot.
I know.
Jeremy Ford Hamlet says, Isles fans will miss Brock, not me. How do you feel about Horvat, Richie, Danny Nelson down the middle, and Pajot for one more year? I'd love to see the move Dobson for Cairo. Jeremy, I tell you what, you're always really, really good. This is maybe the worst comment you've ever had.
Jeremy, I
can't. And here's the thing. And honestly, it's easy to say this is the worst because all of his other comments are really, really astute and on. Okay, Richie's probably not going to be ready to play next year. It'll be Pajot as number 2. Danny Nelson's not going to be ready. You're going to have Casey Zizekas as your number 3. And then you'll put Kyle McLean as your number 4. They're not making any changes in the offseason.
Are they talking about Jordan Kyrou? Is that who he's talking about? That's the only Kyrou I can think of. The same Jordan Kyrou who's got now again, he's got 50 points. He's played pretty well this year too. He's always around 50, 60, 70 point season guy. But I'm like, I don't know.
A right shot defenseman is way more important than a right wing.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is a guy who defensively, that would be a Lou move though. Trade away Noah Dobson and maybe a draft pick for a guy like Jordan Kyrou.
Kyrou's way too young.
He's 26.
He's way too young. He's not looking for a young
He'll
guy.
be 27 next year. No, this is a Lou move. It's got Lou written all over it. Many draft picks and trading away Dobson for 27-year-old in the prime of his career. Maybe there's a big contract coming his way too.
The Islanders will never get their puck out of the zone then. Dobson's not there.
All right.
Jeremy adds, which Islanders have impressed you with their play this year with their play, especially in respect to their salary? For me, it's Romanoff and Holmstrom. What, back-to-back? Jeremy, I don't know what's going on.
Holmstrom's played well for us.
Holmstrom's been good this year. He's not great, but here's the thing. He's fine. Like I said, he doesn't make any money. I don't have a problem with him. Romanoff is just horrible. He's hideous defensively. He just is. He does not play a positionally sound game. He just he's looking to staple somebody to the boards. That's what he does. He's not a good defenseman. Just not. Sorry.
Ian Malloy, Grumpy.
Didn't do nearly enough. Love the hole for Brock, though. Marner to New York Islanders. Okay. I'd love to talk about this. You're right. He did not do enough. I'm on you with those two. Mitch Marner's never come to the Islanders.
Yeah.
Forget it. Not happening. There is no free agent that's any good who's coming here. Not a one.
Yes. Lou did fail. Rich A says here, Lou gets a failing grade. Nelson and Palmieri were the bare minimum. Yes.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum.
Jason Cameron Grump.
And here's the thing. A lot of people saying, move Pajot. You needed Pajot for another year. Put him at number 2, get his value up, and move him at next year's deadline. That's what you should. That's what you should do. I had no problem with that. You needed to move a defenseman, and they needed to move Nelson and Palmieri. That was the minimum. And if he would have done that and gotten some assets back, he would have gotten an A from me. An A. As it is, he got a D because I did like the return from Nelson, but it just was not good enough.
D plus for me. D plus.
Or whatever.
You go, Jason Cameron.
I'll go C minus. Jason Cameron says the team is stuck in the mud and sinking. Sad what Lou has done to them. 100% agree, Jason. 100% agree.
Absolutely. Johnny Pajamas.
Why, Johnny Pajamas? Why are all the fans crying about a player leaving? The cup. The goal should be the cup, not let's make friends. Absolutely.
I don't get it. It's like we're acting like, oh, he's such a loyal servant to the club. I'm like, these guys are making multiple millions of dollars. They're playing professional sport. They're playing a child's game for fun, and they get paid millions of dollars to do so. I like watching them when we have results. Go ahead, Grump.
And they are great guys.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's their job. I mean, does that someone go to your job and say, oh, man, you know what? I know you really, I don't know, whatever job you have. Let's say you're a pizza maker. Man, you made that pizza. You're leaving. Oh, my gosh. We're going to start crying. No, they just slide some other pizza.
Going from Oakdale Pizzeria to Joe Montanot's Pizza. We're going to die. How can we survive without you? No, pizza's pizza. Play is play. The thing that matters is when you win the Stanley Cup. That's what I care most about. I want to see a Stanley Cup so freaking bad. I cannot tell you. It's hard to articulate how bad I want to see a Stanley Cup. And this guy's preventing us from being on the right track.
If you start rooting for Tampa or Florida or
why not
the teams that I'm going to start rooting for from here on out, I'm absolutely going to watch the Florida teams. I enjoy them. Love the way they're put together. I like Carolina. I'm going to start rooting for a winner.
You don't need to, what are you going to – anyway, go ahead and continue. We're running some comments.
Drew says, at this point, though, I can't even fault Lou for his shortcomings. This is on ownership. Get ready for a bleak future, guys. Absolutely. He says they say they want to get younger in the offseason. How are you going to do that when you have so many guys, older guys under long-term deals? How are you going to get that done?
Ownership saying that, hey, everything that he does, he runs across with ownership and ownership agrees with, and he's got to go ahead and make sure things are on the same page. Tells you ownership does not care about the long-term success of this team. They don't. And guess what? They are going to sell the team. That's all it is. It's a property and a land and real estate development project, and they're not good owners. They're not afraid to spend money, but they're not here for the long haul, which is why we will never see a Stanley Cup under John Ledecky and Scott Malkin. Never, ever, 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 ever. And for that point, get rid of them. I don't care. They offer me no value.
How did X ban Alexander?
I don't know. He screwed it up. Anyway, Maga says here, Grumpy, getting extra grumpy tonight. Freedom Fun Adventure.
Nelson trade was good. Mean old bastard was forced. 100% agree. His plan was to re-sign everyone because he's a lazy POS. 100%. Elon Musk. Hey, I told you about Elon Musk. Needs to send Lou and his old Devils pals an email asking them to list their 5 achievements. Very true. Very good.
Charles.
Charles Dittmar says, Brock did right by us by not signing. Lou is crazy. Could have traded Palmieri and re-signed him in the offseason. Why are we re-signing guys in their mid-30s for a team that's bottoming out?
Even there, though, you're right. He could have traded away Kyle Palmieri, and if Kyle Palmieri really wanted to be an Islander, really wanted to sign back, you could have gotten a 2nd-round pick plus for him and then sign him back if you were hell-bent on bringing him back. It wasn't like, hey, I need the 8-year extension on my contract. You could have let him go, say, hey, go win a Stanley. But he believes that this team is a playoff contender and the team can win a cup, which is why he kept Kyle Palmieri. That's the problem. Rich A.
There's no direction for this organization. If you aren't able to sign free agents, which they're not, you better have great scouts, which they don't, and a great farm system, which they also don't have.
And you also need draft picks, which they don't like. Our GM said they don't like them.
We don't want draft picks. We wanted ready-to-play players. Okay, good luck.
Yep.
Matthew Carbone says, solid return for Brock, but Lou needed to move Kyle and Pajot. I'm disagreeing about Pajot. I would have also listened for Dobson or Mayfield or Lee. Okay, you're not moving
Lee and Palmieri were the 2 guys I think that were guys that were primed to move, and they were calling about Anders Lee. So we know there was interest out there in the market for Anders Lee. But again, teams were only willing to offer draft picks for him. They weren't willing to offer players who were ready to step into the roster.
Or not their top prospect.
That's right. I'm sorry. So if a team had 3 guys in the top 30, they weren't offering the top guy. We weren't talking. My name is Lou Lamoriello, Grump.
I am going to say that if they would have traded for prospects who weren't top prospects where they could ruin, they would have ruined them. Fredo would have ruined them down in Bridgeport.
It's true. Rick Roma.
Rick Roma said maybe that's why he doesn't like it, because Fredo's just ruined every prospect. That, well, we don't need any of those guys. None of them ever pan out. Rick Roma says this was a huge seller's market. 100% agree. And the Islanders fire sale would have been a huge leap forward in the rebuild. 100% agree. Like Boston did. Great job by Boston. Great job by Boston. Picked up 3 number 1 draft picks. Great job. Johnny Pajamas says Lou's most impressive moment was when he made the Brock trade near midnight. I would have bet my life that geriatric was in bed by 7:15.
Oh, man. There you go. General manager called Lou on Lee and Pajot, too. They're crazy to say that they're not available. And they're told that they are not available. Crazy.
It's ridiculous.
What's up, Frank? How are you, man?
The Islanders did wind up eating half of Brock Nelson's salary also.
Doesn't matter. Goon.
Will Lou run this team into the ground? He already has. Should UBS Arena be relocated into the Long Island Sound? I think that would be a massive undertaking, so probably not for that second part.
Yeah. I hope that Palmieri dupes Lou and walks away for nothing, says Drew. Lou needs to learn his lesson. I hope so, too.
Me too.
But again, it's the same thing. Remember, if I ever come back to play, says Zach Parise, it'd only be for the Islanders. They were being offered 2nd and 3rd round picks. We're not going to trade them away because we had a handshake deal. We're not trading you away, Zach Parise. Well, he signed with Colorado that next year. So, again, just dupe the old man. The old man too stupid and sentimental to understand. It's business, buddy. You're too old. You're too old.
I don't need sentimentality in the front office. That's not your job. It's not your job.
Angry Grumpy. Grumpy's great. My God, that's great. So we had a lot of those there. Mark A says, beat the Sharks tonight, baby. I disagree, unfortunately.
I hope we lose to the Sharks. I hope they shit.
Athera says, relax on Brock. He did right by the team. Lou needs to get going immediately. I have no problem with Brock. I know Grumpy doesn't like Brock Nelson. I've got no problem with Brock. Malkin is a genius in real estate. Well, actually, his dad was a genius in real estate who bought the Empire State Building. So he kind of was like a nepotism item. His dad owned the Empire
Nepo baby. Is that what you're saying?
Nepo baby. His dad bought the Empire State Building.
Okay, but maybe he's improved on it. That's possible.
Maybe. And again, I don't even know if he still owns that. But again, he inherited his. It's nice when you start off with a few billion, to your name. That does help a little bit.
Trump started off with some money.
Yeah, again, a lot of people who are successful start off with a few million or a few billion on that.
It is nice where you can make some mistakes and not have it hurt you.
Yeah, and again, yeah.
No, but do you think that Malkin is just? You think he's just? We're just going to let this guy who was managing this little 2-story walk up here. He's going to manage all my things. I'm not going to be involved in those day to day. You think he says
You're
that?
talking about for the real estate development. Yeah, he doesn't leave that up to just by random chance. He has a very hands-on approach to that, just like he should be very hands-on with the team and the franchise he owns. But we'll continue along here.
That's exactly right.
Eisenberger.
It's M. Eisenberger. Big loser of the trade deadline for them. The Nelson trade gets credited to Brock himself, not Lou. Brock did what Pajama Boy didn't. That's why, in spite of how you feel about him, Grumpy, he will get something. He'll get something. Kick in the ass, maybe. I don't know.
Lou is one stubborn, closed-minded mofo. Had a plan to re-sign everybody while the seller's market was getting better and better.
Colossal blunder. Steve VC, true. It's pathetic that Lou tried to keep Nelson and didn't trade Palmieri. Did everything he could to not do the right thing. Yes, That's correct.
Yeah, there it is here. The wicked 50 cal.
They get a good grade for the Nelson trade. 100% agree. Major disappointment with not selling other players. Yes.
Good, Grump.
A few episodes ago, Grumpy threatened to go scorched earth on the Islanders, but fell flat. Finally, he attacks like a wildcat.
I like that one. You got Frank suffering.
Lou suffering.
Lou. And Lou, we trust. All hail Lou. There we go. Yeah, that's right.
That's just to show that we do show there is one fan in Ireland.
It's sarcasm. It's sarcasm.
Who thinks he's great. Friend says, Grumpy just stole my Elon bit. I didn't know you had an Elon bit. Nelson did the Islanders a massive favor by demanding a trade out. So he didn't demand a trade out. Just did not want to sign a contract extension for less than 5 years.
Yep.
So he had a chance to win. That's not true. He wanted to stay. If they would have given him the money, he would have been fat, dumb, and happy there.
Yep.
It helped the Islanders greatly. Nelson did not want to stay. That's not true. Richie is a great acquisition. We'll find out. Hopefully he is.
Frank Suffern says Lamanites. Grumpy, do you need some Xanax? Says Matthew S.
No, probably not.
Nice to see you relaxed and chilled today, Grumpy.
That's me. Nice and chill.
He is. Here you go, Grumpy. Jeremy Ford.
Grumpy, you looked and sounded like TJ when he picked up Romanov and George for Frank Nazar.
Yeah.
Actually, it was just the Romanov thing.
Yeah, that Romanov.
I knew I was going to be pissed today, and actually, I had time to calm down from yesterday.
Frank Grumpy.
The question no one can answer is, if a third-round pick is ours only if the Avalanche win the Cup, is this true?
We didn't have any sort of trade with the Avalanche. Oh no, with Brock. No. I think it was just the first round pick and Brock Nelson, and we traded away Dufour and Brock Nelson.
No,
right?
we got something else. I think it was a third-round pick in 2028 or something like that.
Oh, okay, cool. Didn't know that. I thought we won that deal across the board. I guess I should be a little bit more, well-rounded to that. But
William Dufour is a nothing, just like we knew he was 2 years ago. Just like Matthew Maggio was a nothing last year. Whoever this year's nothing is, there's nothing coming in.
Yeah, again, overagers killing it against 16-year-old boys. Okay.
Freedom Runner says TJ Malkin is at the game. Maybe it's time to end Lou. Owners need to pay attention to details. Richie's a top 12, 13 prospect, depending which service.
Yeah. Well, you go. Flex crew.
Lou got a haul for Nelson. I was so hopeful he actually was about to do what he needs to be done. Turns out Nelson forcing his hand was the only reason he was moved. What a joke. Fire Lou.
100% agree. Yep. Wanted to get rid. Program this as wanted to get rid of Palmieri. Yes. So there is a 2028 third round conditional pick. Again, what that condition is, no earthly idea. Frank, I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. I haven't seen anything up. I'll do some digging here. Yes, it's a failed deadline, not incomplete. Andy Francis said it best, trying to re-sign Palmieri, who's going to be unplayable in 16 months. Why, Lou? Again, Andy Francis didn't always used to have that thought process. Remember when he was on the show a few times? He did also mention, too, that, again, trying to do this, dip your toe in the water to try to change the direction of the team is the worst way to do it.
Jump in. Embrace it. It's like you're jumping on, hey, that water looks cold. Let's just stick our toe in it. Ooh, that's cold. Somebody's got to shove you in. Get used to it. The Wicked 50 Cal says Palmieri should have absolutely been traded. People were arguing with me saying that if he took a team-friendly deal. But guess what? He's taking between $4 and $5 million. Not worth it. He's going to get more. He's going to get a raise. He's not going to get cut. They're not going to cut his salary. Guarantee you that.
They keep it flat. If the hockey gods are listening, says Rick Roma, please have Palmieri sign a 4-year extension in the next 10 minutes. Oh, that would be great. That would be great to see it.
He's resigned. I guarantee he's resigned.
Oh, gosh. Here you go. Let's continue here. Drew.
The guys who should have been traded after Nelson and Palmieri and Anders Lee at minimum. At this point, you'd have to trade Dobson and start a rebuild. Lou officially Devils 2.0, the Islanders. Absolutely.
We've got a long rebuild ahead of us, guys. Yep. And 10 years, guess what? It's going to happen.
I just want to warn people. Just because we got a couple of guys who look like they can play at the,
Cole Eiserman's fantastic. This
college hockey or, whatever in the minors, they all don't pan out.
That's
they just
correct.
don't.
I remember when Kiefer Bellows scored the most goals in the World Juniors history for the Team USA. Again, very good AHL player, just couldn't make it in the NHL. Cole Eiserman this, Cole Eiserman that. Okay, we'll see. We'll wait to see. Again, anybody pretending like they're watching, Boston University games on a consistent basis, I'm just going to probably say you probably don't have enough time to do everything at once. So anyway, JP Grump.
It's going to be a long, long, awful ride with these owners, sadly.
Yes.
Should have gotten more for Nelson and should have sold many, many others.
I'm happy with the Nelson return. I just really thought that it was symbolic of us starting to change the direction and starting to put our sails up. We were going to have a direction, but we didn't.
Can you, while you put the next, can you just look what Boston acquired at this deadline?
It's a lot. It did a lot.
Okay. How about Beauvillier? Pittsburgh got a second rounder, so I bet we could have easily gotten a better deal for Palmieri. Absolutely.
The reason Marchand didn't get a lot is good. Has Marchand played consistently? Are we still hurt?
He's hurt. He's out right now.
Oh, wow.
And that was like a last second deal, the last second of the deadline.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely a second with the potential if
If he plays half the playoff games, it's a first.
yeah, and they have to win, I think, a round or two in the playoffs.
No,
Which-
it's half the playoff games. That's the only stipulation on this.
Okay.
He's got 61 games, 47 points. Again, Marchand's not at 36, 37 years old. Marchand's not the same guy. He'll be 36 or 37 come playoff time. He's not the same guy. Just isn't.
Charlie Coyle got them a first round pick.
Yep.
Charlie freaking Coyle.
Yep, he's been such an awful. Yeah, Lou is completely washed. He's been such an awful owner or such an awful GM since the Cap era. Absolutely.
People just think he's the owner. Gungun says, Grumpy, what are your thoughts on the wildfires on Long Island out east? I bet there will now be flocks of homeless geese. I did hear. I just got a text from my brother said there's wildfires. I don't know.
Didn't know that. Hey, Grumpy. Thomas Bach.
Gents, your analysis is correct. On Palmieri, they could have traded him, got picks, and then in the offseason signed him back. He was that important, he's not. There's no logical reason to not trade him. Same thing, just like 2 years ago. You had Mayfield, Varlamov, and Parise. Nobody gets moved. Why not? They're all on expiring deals. Move them.
So just put this up here. This is what Boston did. Boston knows. Best record in the history of the NHL 2 years ago. Boston knows they're not good enough. Boston traded away Marchand, Coyle, Brandon Carlo, Trent Frederick, Justin Brazo, Max Jones, and a 5th-round pick. They got a 1st-round pick, two 2025 second-round picks, a 2026 4th-round pick, 2026 2nd-round pick, conditional 2027 2nd-round pick. Again, that's the one that I believe that can be the first, depending if he plays half the games. Casey Middlestat and a few other guys. Now, this Kushnin guy, I think, is a top or younger prospect, or maybe, I don't know. I haven't kept up enough with their situation, but they're running some players and draft picks. They're starting to change the composition of the team. That's what they're doing.
They did great at the deadline.
Bringing in Coyle in addition to Brock was a masterstroke. With Coyle defending opponents' top line, Brock will run wild offensively. He's played pretty well. He had a few points tonight already.
McKinnon, I think, had 4 goals today.
Yeah, Brock Nelson's going to put up a shit ton of points there because Colorado doesn't care about really defense. They say, hey, put points on the board and we play entertaining hockey. We're going to try to outscore everybody. He'll put up a lot of points. State of survival.
Caps know exactly who to get. After they bought Cap Friendly, they went in and crunched the stats and got the players that fit a winning team. Every one of their trades since has been spot on. Okay, now here's the thing. I'm the guy who's been talking Capitals since they made these deals 2 years ago in this offseason. Told you I was all in on them. Everything they did turned out right. That is usually not the case.
Yes.
Everything they did turned to gold this year.
David says Palmieri's going to be signed 2 to 3 years for about $5 to $6 million. Oh gosh.
Would that surprise you though, honestly?
Do you think he could have received a 1st round for Palmieri? No, it's probably a 2nd plus. And again, they stopped in the afternoon. They stopped at 12 o'clock, said, we're not looking to sell him. But who knows? Maybe when teams got desperate enough, they're willing to come up to a 1st round pick. But Lou said he doesn't believe in the draft picks.
4th liners were getting 2nd round picks. He would have gotten a 1st round pick.
I agree with that. You would have got a 1st round pick just with the amount of interest. But again, you know what they're doing? They're saying, hey, we're willing to offer you 2nd plus. Oh, no, sorry, I'm not looking to trade him. Boop, hangs up. The Wicked 50 Cal, Grumpy.
If Lou was a bowler, he would somehow find a way to get a gutter ball with the rails on. True.
It'd be tough, but also talented at the same time. Oh, man.
Jeremy Ford, Hamlet says, if you move out Pajot, Palmieri, and Lee all right at the deadline, what's your plan for next year? No, see.
You move Lee, Palmieri, and Nelson. 3 guys. And now, again, you probably would have brought back a bad asset to fill a spot for you. But guess what you do the remainder of the year? Hey, Alex Jeffries, let's see what you have. You're 24 years old in Bridgeport. Let's see what you have for an extended run. I want to see what you've got on the table, Alex Jeffries.
See if you're part of the solution going forward.
Yep. Can you maybe get a spot out of camp? Can we maybe expect you to do something out of camp, or should we just ignore you? I mean, I'm sorry, he's 23 years old, but again, he's been playing in Bridgeport the whole year, played well in college. Let's see what you've got, Alex Jeffries. Is this somebody we have something in? Yes or no?
For me, I was Palmieri, Nelson, and a defenseman. And the other guys, and maybe Lee, if you got a big enough offer. I would have traded Pajot. I would not have traded him next year when he's on expiring deal. That's when you trade him. And if you have to do that with Lee, If you don't get a big enough thing for Lee, you do that next year at the deadline as well. This way you do it in stages. You can't get rid of everybody at once. But they've had opportunities to do this over the last number of years. That's what I've been preaching for the last number of years, to just cull the dead wood out and backfill. But they just decided not to do that.
Nick D.
Nick D, nice to see you again, says, nothing else to say, but Lou Lamoriello is the shittiest GM in Islanders history. Worse than Milbury, maybe. Yeah, the thing that people keep forgetting why Snow and Milbury struggled, Charles Wang told him, we're not spending any money, period.
At least he was honest. At least he was honest about his intentions. It was always, I'm doing it for the real estate and development of the real estate. That's the reason I'm purchasing the team, and I believe that maybe we can get benefit off of that.
Yep.
The other owners, they'll throw money at the team, but again, it's how can I make things as profitable and lucrative as possible over the short term. So then when we develop the real estate and we sell, then there's no reason for us else to be here, and we'll sell it to some other new owner as a finished product. That's what they're looking to do.
There you go.
2003 was the last time I believe that Lou Lamoriello won a Stanley Cup.
21 years.
About to be 22 years ago.
Yeah, he's never winning another Stanley Cup. Like I said, it's been eons ago.
You go, Grumpy. Rick Roma.
He didn't bring Scott Stevens and Marty Brodeur to the Islanders. He brought Zajac, Green, and Palmieri. Yeah, Marty Brodeur was a draft pick for them. And Scott Stevens, he wound up signing him to an offer sheet.
Oh, my God. How many first-round picks did they give up to give St. Louis to sign him? 5 first-round picks. And it worked out because you won Stanley Cup.
He's a freaking Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but he certainly should be.
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame. Freedom Fund Adventure.
Islanders could have received significant assets for 3 of the defensemen. Pajot and who's 27? Who's 27? Oh, Net Lee could have fixed many of his mistakes, fixed the cap, improved the organization, could have gotten assets for the 2 new defensemen. You can't ship off too many guys. You got to do it in stages, right? They should have absolutely moved Nelson, Palmieri, and a defenseman, and then move 3 more in the offseason.
Veritas Victor said, I heard the Leafs were interested in Mayfield. Mayfield's a healthy scratch kind of game in and game out. Why not move him?
Why not? He's got 5 more years left on his contract, and he's a bottom pairing defenseman. Why?
What's up, Michael? He says, hey, what's up, guys? He said, Lou's quotes from today have calmed me down a bit. Well, it did the exact opposite when I listened. I didn't listen to the quotes. I listened to the actual conversation. It did the exact opposite for me. Lou can only make one significant move every 2 years. Then Lou needs a long nap.
That's
Still
fair.
mixed feelings, obviously, but I feel a little bit better. Michael, the unfortunate thing is once you listen to the full 12-minute convo, I think it'd be yanking your hair back out. Okay, gotcha. Let's continue on here. Pajot's going to be moved next year, maybe Lee next year too. I'm not sure.
How is Palmieri getting moved if he just signs an extension? It's not happening.
Well, no, Pajot and Lee, Grumpy, if you read the
Pajot, I'm sorry.
comments. Yeah, so again, I'm not even sure they're going to move those guys because more often than not, when guys have expiring deals, they either A, retire with the Islanders, or B, they get signed back to a contract. So I anticipate Jean-Gabriel Pajot will be signed back next year, and Anders Lee maybe offered a 1-year deal. Maybe he retires.
No, he will sign back. I think you're going to see both of them sign back.
Meatball Parm says, I thought Grumpy was going to flip the couch. There it is. Anders Lee would have probably gotten a first plus. Well, if you ate half the cap hit on him, I think maybe you could have got something for him. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's wrong? You can eat half the cap on 3 guys. Why not do it?
Past 4 seasons, Lou's made 1 trade, then goes back into hibernation. We are not making the playoffs. Lou will get Jean-Gabriel Pajot and Lee to play out their contract next season with no trade. Maybe even going to be re-signed. Yes, they will. Yep. This is the way Lou operates in his old age. I've known from day one that he's going to do. You're 100% always right about this team.
Yep.
Yeah. I wish I wasn't. I wish I was wrong. I really do. I wish I was wrong and the team changed direction. I was sitting here today with a big smile on my face saying I was wrong and I couldn't be happier.
Look at the Flyers last year. They were in a position to make the playoffs, and they're like, nope, we're going to move our best defenseman. We're going to get draft picks in here. They traded Scott Walker, who I don't think much of, and they got a first-round pick for him. I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. Freedom Fund Adventure.
TJ, Lou only takes action when he must. Try to sign guys last second or trade a guy. He isn't proactive. What else does he do? Also, reported teams wanted Mayfield, and either Scott refused. Stop giving guys no move clauses, no trade clauses. Just stop.
Frank says Lou won at life and everything he did. Okay, well, I've noticed the last 20 years he's been losing a lot more than he's been winning. So maybe
Loser.
don't know. Okay.
Devils
Oh,
fans
he's respected. I love this. He's respected all across the league and his country. I don't know. When we heard it from, again, the agents who have to deal with him, I'm sure it's the same sentiment from other general managers. They say he's the toughest guy to work with, and they don't believe that he gives any sort of freedom and flexibility to work.
Digs in his heels. Digs in his heels.
Yeah, that's it.
He's too old for the job.
Yep.
He might have been good, 30 years ago, but he's not. As soon as free agency came in, that was the end of him as a primetime GM. Over. And salary cap. Can't do it. When was the last time the Islanders had a 40, 50 goal scorer? In 1999, when Ziggy was Jiggy. No, I think Anders Lee had 1 year and he had 40 goals playing with Tavares.
I'm not going to lie, because X has done a shitty job. X literally started no comments for us, Grumpy.
Oh, I don't know. I can't.
X didn't do his job today, Grumpy. You're going to need to get on your son, okay?
Well,
Simple
I'm going
as
to,
that.
like I said, we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, you go.
Lou essentially just said he would prefer young players as opposed to draft picks. Well, he's not getting good young players from a trade because he's nothing to trade. So the only way to get them is to draft them. Absolutely. The draft in every single sport is the lifeblood of a team, period.
How often do good young players get traded? It's usually infrequent. It's not very often. So you're saying, I only want to do something that happens very infrequently. Okay.
And I hope the Richie kid pans out. I absolutely do. There's no guarantee will, though.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, man. TJ isn't suffering because he resisted. Oh, TJ isn't suffering because he resisted what is. Oh, yeah, if I am suffering. Yeah, again, when you resist what is, that is when suffering truly begins. Mayfield, right-handed defenseman, apparently are sought after. They would have been a playoff team to take him there. Yeah. Yeah, continue on here. Phil's Fax is probably building. What is this? Building maybe a shrine for Lou Lamoriello. Perhaps he is. He does love him.
Maybe
Anti-censorship society says your Callum Ritchie doesn't get stuck in Bridgeport. Lou doesn't love giving young players a chance to make the roster unless they're his guy. Like, again, he'll give that guy every single chance and opportunity.
He will have every chance to play next year. And he's smart. Honestly, that's the only thing I agreed about in his press conference, is saying that there's no way he's coming up this year to burn a year in the ALC. And I agree with that. Rick Roman says, do you ever remember a deadline where seller's market was like this? Never. Lou not only could have unloaded Lee and his $7 million next year, but he could have gotten legit assets for him. Absolutely. You have to adjust to the situation. He just can't. He's not capable of it.
I've never seen a market where sellers made out so handsomely than this year. I can't remember a market over the last decade. You missed out on a once-in-a-decade opportunity because you just had the wrong mentality.
Yep.
Yeah, Lou was going to try to re-sign. Yep. Nelson, literally, he was all in with the core. Fire Lou last Thursday.
And here's the thing. The core is not anybody he brought in.
Yep.
They were all snow acquisitions, except for Horvat.
You're grubby.
Blue U 026 orange 11. Okay. The direction of the Islanders is Big Ben Parliament. Looks like Big Ben Parliament.
What the hell is Big Ben Parliament? Just the Big Ben. Oh gosh, is that just the clock tower Big Ben?
I guess in the Parliament.
Okay, fair enough. They tripled down all mistakes that they do. Antsy said
they did quadruple down once they re-signed F- Palmieri.
Absolutely.
How's that next contract going to age? Shit.
Freedom from adventure.
I love this team, and they could be successful, but you are one stubborn old bastard who is mean and stupid. That's why his stag is so small, old, and related. No dissenting voices to ownership.
John Grumpy.
Hello, guys. Hey, John DeBella. Haven't heard him for a while. I'm going to be 50 in August. Happy birthday in August. And have been a fan of this pathetic team for too long. After this deadline, I really second-guessing my fandom. And I think a lot of fans are. I am.
Yeah.
If the owners don't give a shit, why should I? That's the whole thing in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell.
The Islanders score. They're up 1-0 over the mighty San Jose Sharks.
Who cares? Who cares?
We're going to win the Stanley Cup, guys.
I'm watching right now. I got on Dallas and Edmonton. That's a really good game.
I bet it is.
It
Two
really
much
is.
better teams. Entertaining.
And action. Really good.
David.
Uh,
I'm sorry, you're talking about the ownership. Why should I
yeah,
care?
I mean, I've always been an Islander fan, but you know what?
I don't need to invest the same time.
When they were really bad in the mid '90s, I was like, yeah, I watched them, but I used to take you remember we used to take your games. It's not like we watched them every night. Just didn't do it. Wasn't important enough.
Grumpy, good question. Can you turn on the Islanders game? Have the San Jose Sharks halfway through the first period registered 17 shots on Sorokin? Is that a joke? Is that a typo? Please tell me that's a typo.
Let me see if I can find it here.
Are we getting outshot? We're getting out. It's saying the Islanders, 17 shots conceded. We have only registered 2 shots on that. Tell me that's a joke. Tell me we're not getting outshot 17-2 against San Jose. That cannot be true.
It is true. 17-2 in shots against.
Wow.
I guess it's another Sorokin point. The Islanders somehow got a power play too.
Sorokin point, Grumpy. But yeah,
Sorokin.
no option with another. Anthony Duclair with the goal. Wow. Again, we're being outshot 17-2 right now. Wow. Hey, that screams Stanley Cup contender to me by San Jose. Getting outshot 17-2 on multiple days rest. Stanley Cup, baby.
Would it really surprise you if they lost today somehow to San Jose?
No, we can't lose to San Jose. When you come out of a first period with like 20 shots and the other team has like 3 or 4 and you come out with, you're trailing, you don't win those games. David Grumpy.
The USB pays off the ownership by itself for the Islanders. You have all the sponsorships, businesses paying to be in the Coliseum, selling of corporate tickets. As for average fans, it's no big deal for them as owners. They're making money either way, win or lose.
I'm sure that is the case. Okay, Grumpy. Grumpy's right on the money. No vision, no direction. Lou is taking the franchise where he's headed soon. Into the grave, says JP. Oh, gosh. Wow. There it is. Dale S. said, I would have traded Palmieri even for a second if that was the offer. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
And
but
just
imagine the general manager says anti-censorship. The Islanders could be the Capitals, but not with Lou.
Just to let people know we are having a fantasy baseball Islanders Never Say Die Fantasy Baseball League this year. So if you want, let TJ know on the email.
Yep. Okay. Well,
we probably need to say that earlier in the time.
Yeah, you probably needed to let me know that before 2 hours into the show. Freedom and Fun Adventure. Yeah, the Islanders are old, soft, inconsistent. General manager wants more of it. Fans and media know it is right or know what is right to do. Lou is why we can't have nice things. Ownership must remove him. Everyone right. Call the Islanders and demand it. Well, the ownership agrees with Lou. That's the problem. Been a fan since 81, says Anti-Censorship Society. Been a long fall from the good old days of my cow, or was that?
Callow Youth.
There it is. Shooting at Jaws. Dawson would miss if he was shooting at Jaws. Okay.
He didn't have to hit the shark. All he had to do was hit the air tank.
Container. That's it. And blew him up. Oh, Sorokin's the injury room. We're being outshot. Think about this. We're being outshot 17-2.
17-5 now because the Islanders just had a power play.
Oh, wow. Did we score in a power play or no score again?
No, still 1-0.
Okay. Jeffrey K.
Lou says this, there will be change this summer. Until there's change, you can't say how much, but I can assure you there'll be change.
So like, oh, that's great. That's great. I can't with them. Yeah. Ledecky and Malkin apparently don't give a crap. Exactly right. Exactly right. You go, Grumpy.
Very upset.
Yeah, I'm not going to read that. We're not. We're just trying to talk Islanders. Drew Grumpy.
We're not making the playoffs without Nelson, but I don't care. I'd rather get closer to the number 1 pick anyways.
Agreed. 100% agree. Bruce Grumpy.
What is more disgusting to Grumpy, his own offspring or the Islanders? Oh, absolutely my own offspring. No, the Islanders. Disgusting.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just noticed that the Facebook thing went down all throughout anyway. Okay, to be fair, who even watches on Facebook? People do. Nelson was +2 with an assist and 3 shots on net in his first 7 minutes. Almost scored on the first shift shot right off the bar on the outside. I love this for him. Go win Avs. He looks great. Good. I've got nothing wrong with Brock Nelson. I know Grumpy doesn't like him, but glad he's gone. Glad we got some assets.
I am glad he's gone.
That's it.
I think this guy forgets I'm one stubborn MRFer, LOL. I'll keep going to war for this podcast, but we need more moderators because I'm not around all the time.
Yeah, anybody wants to be moderator, let them know. Let us know. Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
know how X screwed that up. That's not the first time he screwed that up either.
He just because he's not paying attention. It's the reason he didn't star anything. He's too busy playing video games or something like that. Too busy jacking his, you know what. Anyway, Rick Roma.
Devils lost their best player and best defenseman. They might be toast. Can the Islanders get a third spot in the Metro and beat the Canes in round one? Grumpy, your thoughts?
Oh my
What?
gosh.
So they're going to have to pass Columbus and the Rangers and the Devils to get the third spot. No, they're not. They're not even making the play. They're not. It's not happening. The only chance the Islanders had was when everyone below them was selling. Everyone above them selling. Ottawa's probably going to make the playoffs.
Ottawa absolutely is making the playoffs. They won today against the Rangers. Ottawa is making the playoffs, Grumpy. They're in a playoff spot right now. They got 69 points. 6 points ahead of us.
And here's the thing: they have one of, I think, like the third easiest schedule the rest of the way. Islanders have a tough schedule.
Yep.
So does Detroit. All right, Columbus has been really good. Montreal's winning game after game. I mean, I don't know if they won tonight, but it's like, I'm sorry. There's a lot of teams ahead of you. It's not just, it's teams. It's not just points, it's teams. Montreal has 1-0 tonight to Calgary.
Yeah. Richie hits the projection, says Michael of the number 2 center. The Islanders look okay down the middle for the next 2 to 3 years.
And by then, Bo Horvat will be tailing off because he'll be in his, 31, 32.
And as we continue, it just the cycle repeats, and Pulak and Pellick are on the tail end at that point too. It's just like we're not a well-structured team. Ledecky and his in Lou we trust. So cringe. Trust from playoffs 4 years ago now. Yep.
Long ago. It's long ago in a place far, far away. Stage Survival says, it was said he'd lose $1 million per year if Renton signed in Colorado. That's just not true. It's just not true. Sorry, it's not. They still offered him more.
He says, watch Lou give Palmieri a 4-year deal, $16 million contract. God. Could you imagine to give him a 3-year, $12 million?
Well, that'll give me another reason to get my blood pressure up during the offseason.
The freedom fund adventure.
Grumpy and TJ, Finley, Bednarik, Pekkanen, the goalies, and a few other serious prospects. I bet you none of them make it. Hiring top folks to run a business is wise, but owners don't know hockey, and Bettman pushed Lou, but end it now.
Anti-Censorship Society says here, I hope he gets a shot next year. Richie, that is. Carolina screwed up. They traded Natchez and look stupid now, and they lost Raymond. Come on, TJ. You always have to defend the Canes. I think, again, they swung big and they missed on it, but then they tried to redirect, and I think they did the best with a bad situation.
Natchez was gone at the end of next year. He was gone.
He had 1 year left after that, and he was going to walk.
And he was gone. He was going to be UFA, and he's walking. They tried to get Renton, and he didn't sign. They turned it into 2 firsts and a guy, Stankoven, who absolutely fits what they do. It's me defending the Canes, not DJ. I
agree. I agree. It was the best of their situation that they can make.
Yeah.
Here you go. Cole Eiserman, Michael. Again, Cole Eiserman is many years away. Many years away. You know what I mean? He's his first year in college.
At least
4 years, 3-4 years.
I'd say absolute minimum 3 years. Not next year or the year after. Maybe the year.
You'll see him 4 years from now. 3-4 years.
Well, he's going to play college another 2 years, and then he comes out.
He's going to jump right from college to the NHL, or is he going to play some time in Bridgeport?
I'm just saying, absolute minimum 3 years. Next 2 years, he won't make it, and the year after, he'll have a shot. That's it.
You're up anti-censorship.
To the Leafs, he would likely play for a cup. I did see an article that said they were interested, but Lou is like Cashman. He doubles down on his mistakes. Maybe that's why the Yankees haven't won anything since 2009.
JP says Pittsburgh has no direction, too. Pittsburgh's selling. They tried to sell Crosby, too. They're actively selling.
Yeah, they're trying to sell that.
I think the Rangers have no direction. I disagree. The Rangers just won the President's Trophy last year, and what did they do all this year before the deadline, at the deadline? They sold. They got rid of. They get at JT Miller, who's been fantastic for them. He's been great for them. Again, he's older, so it is what it is. But they want to compete next year. So they said, we're going to take this time, pick up some draft picks, and I assume they're going to make some moves this offseason. They've got a lot of cap space. Christopher says here, no, TJ, you're wrong. Rebuilding is not the answer. Some fans are impatient, myself included. I mean, Christopher, what are you impatient for? Making the playoffs to lose in the first round every year? That's what I'm like. I don't get. Like
Yeah,
I
this
need more.
team,
I need more than a playoff appearance to be happy. I need some wins in the postseason to be happy.
this team is done. This team is done. This group is done. They're not. They're never. I told you 4 years ago this group was never going to win anything, and they never have. He had an opportunity to really go after a big fish after the first playoff loss to Tampa, and he chose not to. Chose to keep just the same group together, so they lose the next year. Then COVID stopped.
Anti-censorship society, Grumpy.
They need to build around younger players: Romanoff, Dobson, Barzy, Sorokin, Horvat, and Holmstrom. Everyone else should be expendable. Horvat's 30 years old. Sorokin's 30. Barzy is what, 27 now, 28. Holmstrom's still young.
Arcee's been banged up the last few years a bit too.
Yeah. Holmstrom is not a building block. He's not, but he's younger. And Dobson had a bad year. Romanoff blows. Sorry. So
again, how quickly people dislike Roman or Dobson blows my mind. Frank says, could the Islanders make a summer trade? Yes, but if they do, it would be adding a player that's in their prime and giving up draft picks.
Yeah.
There's no playoffs any year soon.
True.
Yeah, I forgot Sipakov. Sipakov's not bad. Again, like I'd give him an offer there. He's going to be an RFA. I'd give him a contract. Simple as that.
Yeah, they're not going to have as much money as you think when they sign their own guys back, because that's what he does. He just signs his own guys back. That's what he does. Well, now at this point, Drew says you're going to have to trade Dobson in order to speed along a rebuild. Only way this team can go from the point forward is rebuilding. But not if he keeps on double down on the old guys, and you're going to trade the young guys to double down on old guys. That sounds like a recipe for success.
Matthew DiBernardo, Grumpy. I don't know if there's any credence behind this.
Ethan Sears is reporting Malkin is in San Jose with Lou. He has named his successor, and the transition has started. By his media availability, he said a lot that he usually does not. Finally, he didn't say anything. I hope, honestly, I really hope they have a successor and that there's change. It needs it. They're getting absolutely run off the ice tonight, by the way. Just
They suck. They suck. Does anybody have that where he's talking about Lou, or Ethan Sears is tweeting about Lou there, possibly trading things up? Okay. He did not address reporters. I'm not seeing anything where he talked about, again, the fact that he was there, that this may have some sort of impact on.
But if you're an owner, if you're an owner who's even paying attention and you see what everyone else did and you're saying, dude, what did you do? Why did you not do this? I wouldn't sign Palmieri back. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I'd rather be San Jose than the Islanders now, to be honest with you.
I'd rather be every team besides the Islanders.
There's some teams that no.
Oh, who would you? Again, anyway, we're too late in the show. Too late in the show.
Yeah.
TJ talked too much to State of Survival. That's fine. Grumpy, I love you. Grumpy, God, I love you. Grumpy says blue and orange. Absolutely. Yes, State of Survival. Can't hear over TJ. I know. Happens. Sorry, I get carried away sometimes. Freedom from adventure.
What does it matter what that stupid old man says? Pull his videos from previous deadlines and end of the year. It never comes true. What a BS artist. Dude is like a government worker. True.
Sounds like the Oval Office this year before Hamlet. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, they finally cracked TJ for good. Yeah, you're a Rangers fan, TJ. Stop lying, man.
Come out of the closet.
Yeah, that's it. Man, the Rangers will be good again.
We went down.
Even after rebuilding before the Islanders are legitimately good.
I agree.
Yeah,
2-0 Islanders. 2-0 Islanders.
Wow, the Islanders have like 5 shots on that, or 6 now at this point.
7 shots, 21-7 are the shots on goal.
Wow, again, this is what Georgiev blows. There's a reason. Now, I mean, like, has it been like, wow, been really weakies, or how the goals been? I'm not watching.
They just scored. Let's see the replay here, just up top. I'm sorry, he's just not very good.
Sean Gabriel Peugeot.
Anders Lee, he bumped into him. He absolutely bumped into him.
Are they reviewing it?
I don't know, but the Islanders have had those goals called back. He absolutely bumped him in the crease. They're not challenging.
Thumbs up. They're not challenging?
Not challenging.
Again, they're happy losing games. They're just trying to get the draft picks, I guess.
He might as well. I would challenge. What the hell? Why not? What's the
Yeah,
worst
you're
thing?
dominating, or maybe gives you a little momentum. Maybe you score before the end of the first period.
Yeah, last 30 seconds of the period.
Oh, they gave him a goal in the last 30 seconds of the period?
Yep. And he was absolutely bumped by Lee. Now, I don't think that's goaltender interference, but the Islanders have got a lot of those goals called back for very similar touching.
That's what TJ does. He interrupts. That's me. Can't take it anymore. Lou is senile. He has no idea what he's doing. He's a Satan child. Absolutely.
If Satan's child realizes that Lou's got to go, it's got to be really bad.
Oh man. Let's see here. Oh man, I've been commenting on Twitter. Must have been the only one. Sorry. The Twitter, yeah. That's always better to do here. On the TJ's the Lou of podcast, says Frank. Jay says here, Lou is distracting and avoiding the questions, running out the clock.
That's exactly what he was doing.
Lou and Hal Steinbrenner are two people I hate the most in the sports world who had it worse than me. Oh gosh. Cut Site Revenge.
It was a question, who had it worse than me?
Okay.
Cushite Revenge says living dinosaurs, alligators, crocodiles, giant monitor lizards, and then there's Lewisaurus.
Absolutely. Okay, here. I think we're just about Freedom Fun Adventure or Wicked 50 Cal.
A funny thing is that she is also horrible at her job as well. Feels like she doesn't know anything about hockey. He's talking about Shannon, and is clearly reading a teleprompter. Can we hire someone who actually knows hockey? They're not getting rid of Shannon anytime soon. I was thinking about that. How long do you think they'll keep her at the job?
Forever.
Freedom Fun Adventure says, Grumpy, so Son X will be making his return tomorrow, or will he skip it and work out at the gym? He's not skipping out to work at the gym. He will be on the show tomorrow, I believe. I think he's coming home tomorrow.
You go, Stephen V.
The Islanders dynasty core was almost entirely drafted. Only Goring was traded. No, there were other guys. Wayne Merrick was acquired in a trade.
Billy Smith was on the team. Right? You look at it.
Cody Lane. There were guys who were absolute, but the majority, the overwhelming majority,
Hall of Famers were all drafted.
Drafted by Bill Torrey, correct.
They were not trading Hall of Famers away. Simple.
Yeah. Some guys from the expansion draft. Some guys even came in the expansion draft, right? Billy Smith came in with the expansion draft.
That was the best reactionary interview by Grumpy ever. There it is. I don't care. I'm excited to see Islanders play tonight. F it. Oh, man, enjoy it. I'm not telling you not to enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Go Florida. Go Tampa.
Okay. Freedom Fun Adventure.
TJ, you bastard. Drop that property bastard nonsense that your real father, Tommy Baffy, put inside your pea brain. If selling the team, it's worth more if it's successful. I don't, honestly, I'm not saying the team's successful. It's the land deal it's really successful.
Okay. The more they keep the team profitable, the more value it's going to have when you sell it. And you have more of a record and a longer time period of profitability, the more value you're going to have when you sell it. Like you use like an EBITDA equation, and that's what happens. That's how people buy commercial property like that in real estate.
They will absolutely more than recoup their asset for certain. Sports team values only go up.
So ownership is telling Lou to do this. I hope not, TJ. Well, it looks like it. So the owners are a bunch of morons, says John. This team is the biggest joke of any sport in my life. It's Adam from All Things Islanders.
I think you read that comment wrong.
Grumpy, read again, please.
So the owners are a bunch of morons. This team is the biggest joke in any sport, in my opinion.
I thought I read exactly that. You go, Grumpy.
It's Adam from All Things Islanders. Hey, Adam. I've been saying the same thing about the owners for years. See, Adam? Now, here's the thing. I did not believe it. TJ said it. I resisted that. But after what Stefan Rosner said, and just looking with ownership, how they've done nothing, let this guy run amok, I had to change my mind.
Yep.
Vinny
Grumpy finally see it my way.
Vinny Geo9 says the only way to stop this BS is to stop buying season tickets and stop going to games. It's been garbage since this old POS arrived. Absolutely. Stop feeding the machine with your cash. It's the only thing that's going to prompt change. My family is not renewing in Section 102 anymore. We are done.
Amen. It's the only way to get them. There it is. Anybody else read that Callum Ritchie has had concussion problems? Oh,
I have not read that. Maybe he'll be Brett Lindros 2.0.
Oh my God! I hope
we got the better Lindros.
Sorry, Matthew. When I showed the Jaws clip, it completely removed it off of Facebook. We got it got nuked on the Facebook feed. My mistake, man. I thought it was gonna be a good little bit, and it was, but unfortunately, we lost the Facebook feed. Vinny G.
I traveled from New Jersey to the Coliseum and UBS, and I've stopped wasting my time this year. Done. I've been a supporter for 50 years. Done. I feel the same way. Who is this? Who's this? they said earlier what his name was, but it's not.
Adam P.
Adam P. Some dumb effing Islander fans think that the two Eastern Conference Fires are an indicator of how good Lou or the Islanders are. We only needed a word pandemic to restructure the divisions for the Islanders to go that far. The first one, they wouldn't even have made the playoffs.
Correct.
That first year, they wouldn't even have made the playoffs without the play-in. The second year, they had that Jimmy Jack system that they had, and they played two crappy teams before they got beat by Tampa. They were never beating Tampa, ever. Never freaking ever.
There you go, Grumpy J.
Changing the soup section at the Islanders commissary, chowder from Manhattan to New England. Chowder.
At the smug POS, he needs to be launched to Antarctica. Talking about Lou Lamoriello. Absolutely. Ralph Cramden here. Oh, gosh. No way. Ralph was smart. Was way smarter. At least he took
chances. True. He did.
Oh, my gosh. Here. Oh, my gosh. He talks about giving a seminar on general managing. Answer the damn question directly. Yeah, right.
Nope.
A position of winning. The Islanders don't do that consistently. Yeah. Anyway, I think here I'm trying to get shit. The trade deadline is gone, so the team is going to dive like they do every year. They'll win a few. They got some shitty teams they play here. They play San Jose and then Anaheim. I expect 2 wins, and then we'll lose to the Kings, and then we'll start going to losing a few games.
We're not going to beat a good team. It's okay. It's nut cutting time. Everybody's jockeying now. The teams that are trying to get higher in the standings for the playoffs, they're not going to overlook the shitty Islanders. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Think, and here's the thing, we're not beating the Rangers, and we're not going to beat Columbus. Not going to beat Ottawa. There's certain teams we're just not going to beat. Carolina, Tampa. I think we got Tampa twice before the end of the year. And Florida, not beating them. We're just not beating those teams. They've all upped their game.
JP says Dallas is probably winning the cup this spring. I say that every year about Dallas, and I'm always disappointed. So I always think they're a well put together team, and then they always disappoint me in the playoffs. I have them going further than they actually do.
Rantanen's a good fit for them, though.
Bruce.
Can you say what management is doing? Nothing. They didn't want to do anything. They were just status quo. Sign Brock back, sign Palmieri back, and then say, we want to get younger in the offseason. Well, how do you do that when you sign everybody to long-term extensions? You cannot get younger. You have nobody in your system to bring in. He's just lying to you. How many moves has he made in the offseason? How many? Freedom Fund Rancher says, TJ has a problem with nepotism and a whole bunch of smiley faces.
Okay, so the third round pick is thank you, Jay, for this. The third round pick is if Colorado wins the cup. Okay, and Brock plays 50% of those playoff games. Okay, gotcha. So we got a first round pick and Callum Ritchie confidently.
For William Dufour and
William Dufour. Yep. Okay, did not know those were the stipulations.
So actually, that trade's not as good as we thought it was.
Oh, gosh.
Because they're not winning the cup.
The likelihood of one team like that winning the cup, very unlikely. So, yeah, okay. Thank you guys for that. Dale S. Yeah, they're playing 50% of the games and winning the cup. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Okay. Snow found a lot of good late round players. Alexander says nobody offered a prospect and a first round pick for Kyle Palmieri. That's why I'm keeping him. Again, a prospect and a first round pick would be the same value you got for Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson's a center and Kyle Palmieri is a winger. You're not like, you have to be realistic. A second round pick and an asset for me would be fine for Kyle Palmieri. And you could sign him back if he's hell bent on coming back to a 2-year deal. I'm not even a fan of it, but you could have done that if you were hell bent on bringing him back.
Fourth liners were getting second round picks.
That's correct. Anthony Baviglia got a second round pick. You're getting a second round pick.
Brandon Tanev got a second round pick.
I think Snow would have been a better general manager if he was given the money. Perhaps.
He was afraid he wouldn't make a move at all. He'd never make a move.
Oh, I understand that Lou started these wildfires. Oh, my gosh. That's an accusation if I've ever heard one, Bruce.
Ooh.
Oh, man. Oh, my God. You people want to bitch and moan about Palmieri. Nobody was offering more than a second and a third.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
I'd rather keep him. I'd trade him for a second and a third.
First of all, you don't know that because they took him off the market first thing in the morning.
Yep. You don't know, again, like
Brandon Carlo went for a first round pick. Brandon freaking Carlo.
Anthony Baviglia, who was a -7 with 20 points this year, on an expiring deal, went for a second round pick to a division rival in the Washington Capitals. Again, yeah.
And still, who cares? A second and third round pick is better than nothing.
Screen in front of it says TJ again. Stop with the BS. Wong never said he was just in it for the real estate. He was. That's why he never spent any money on the team, is because he just wanted to develop the real estate and get the new arena built. If he had fully built if he had a fully built new arena, he needed to build enough to have a chance to recoup the
He
dollars.
wanted to build the lighthouse thing. I know
It
he
was the
wanted
lighthouse project, and he got denied.
That's right.
Got denied by the
Multiple times.
constituents of the community in the county. That's why it didn't happen. But he wasn't going to put money in until they gave him essentially dollars.
He never put money into the team.
Never did, never was going to. Didn't matter. Could have been there a million more years. He never would have put money in. He just wasn't that way. He just did it for the real estate. That's all he wanted. So, Grumpy, how's your fantasy team doing in Dallas-Edmonton game?
Let's see. I only have one guy in Dallas, so I don't know. Not
Christian O. I think Christian had a game once. He says, it's been a while. Hope all is well. I'm disgusted with owners in lieu. TJ was clairvoyant with his Property Brothers take. 100% agree. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. I'm also done with this team. I'm focusing sports attention on European soccer. We talk about that tomorrow, Christian, on the TJ Grumpy Man Show. Make sure to check in.
Absolutely.
Just check the schedule. I think the Islanders win 10 in a row. Grumpy, your thoughts?
I'll take that bet.
Sorokin standing on his head. Yeah, being outshot 20-5 right now. Ugh.
It wound up they took a shot at the one being 20-7 shots on goal after the first period.
Mario.
What I find interesting is that he traded, and the Islanders, he decided to keep the former Devil.
Traded an Islander, but decided to keep the former Devil. That's right, Mario. Absolutely, yeah. Keandre Miller lost the game of the Rangers in overtime. That was hilarious.
It doesn't matter because Ottawa's good. Ottawa's going to make the playoffs.
I like this from Mario. I bet Lou was more flexible in his negotiations with Palmieri than Nelson.
But Nelson wanted 5 years. They only offered 3.
Robert Marshall says Dobson's flying around the ice so far tonight. Dobson's played well.
He's been really good since he's come back from the injury. He's been really good.
Yeah,
really good.
How can we dislike Dobson? Watch him try to play defense. Watch all of our guys try to play defense. None of them do it. No defenseman in the NHL play true defense anymore.
Look at Romanoff. Look at Romanoff and tell me he's good defensively. Dobson's got to cover him all the time. Dobson's playing with Pellick now. Dobson, I don't know why he looks better. He's playing with the guy who actually plays defense. Now, why do you think he looks so good with Pellick? There's a reason.
You grubby.
Freedom Front Venture says Islanders have feature coming up. Trade deadline behind the scenes. Lou and all his former Devil buddies eating coffee, donuts, and going for a walk, taking a nap, and having lunch. Bad joke.
Wicked Fit Cal says here, I'm rooting for losses this year, hoping for a miracle, and to have Richie, Higgins, and Yzerman. Be down with that.
Yeah, we're not getting Higgins. We're not going to be that bad.
Hey, they should sweep these teams, but Sorokin can't go back-to-back like last time. Again, Sorokin, they're just driving him into the ground.
The Islanders are not beating the Kings.
They're driving him into the ground, and people are going to complain about his performances. You know what's going to happen? If we squeak into the playoffs, people will be like, why is Sorokin look so bad in the playoffs? But we'll play him like in 45 of our last 52 games. And why does he look so bad? Because we played him more than any other goalie over that stretch in the NHL. Nothing left in the tank.
Very true.
The Panthers are not my team. The Islanders, let's go Islanders. Well, fair enough. There you go. Let's go Islanders. I think we could sneak in. Yeah, at the end, sneaking in. That's what the Islanders could do.
Too many teams to pass.
How do you name a successor on the season when the guy is probably with another team unless, one, you name the new president, or it's his stupid son?
Yeah, could you imagine that? Fredo's going to be in charge. We slide Fredo up to the top. Oh, my God.
Let's wrap it up. Grumpy, at the end of the show here today, what do you want to say before we end the show?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens, and even those who don't. Please send TJ an email if you want to be in the Islanders Never Say Die Fantasy Baseball League this year.
Yeah.
And we will
I'll probably tweet that on my socials. I'll tweet that out on the socials.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the show here today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments. What a day. What a missed opportunity. And what was, one of the best trade deadlines for sellers in about the last decade. Missed opportunity and failed execution by a general manager. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Thanks so much, Grumpy, for being part of the show. We'll see you guys next time.